G'day and welcome to On The Esky, an Aussie sports podcast where we like to wrap up the sport that happened during the week back home and check out the international wide world of sports. Big fans of the US footballs and basketballs and the world game, of course, underway at the moment. Today's show, the summer of cricket, is not feeling that summery down here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been a bit cool.
No, but the Aussies did dominate the West Indies. 11 pink ball tests, 11 wins. Killing it. Massive 3 tests coming up against South Africa. Number 1 in the World Test Championship versus number 2. First test matches since Sandpaper Gate. And we haven't beaten them here for 16, 17 years, something like that.
Long time.
India and Bangladesh, England and Pakistan also going on. The World Cup, the World Game, the quarters and the semis are done. The favourites, Brazil, go home. Good old Esky curse there. And lads, it's not coming home. It's not coming home. Croatia continue to punch above their weight and Morocco make history being the first African nation to make the semi-finals of the World Cup. We'll preview the big final, which will happen late Sunday night. The wee hours of Monday morning here. France taking on Argentina for World Cup glory. NFL Week 15, the playoff picture is really starting to take shape. So every game sort of counting now. No buys left there in the NFL. Plus NBA, fight news, UFC 282 review, some contentious judging, and a little bit of F1. Please remember we have timestamps. You can skip to the sports that you like. Subscribe on the socials, yada, yada, yada. Carlton Draft, 20% Esky. You can use that code to get some good gear off the Carlton Draft, DRAFT. Boys, we like to shout a beer. I'm having Tyler Zeros today. Big weekend last weekend, school night, etc. But that's the way we start off the show to commend a big effort during the week in the wide world of sports. Sean, how have you been going and who are you shouting a beer this week?
Good. I'm shouting out, I guess, the memory of Mike Lynch, having passed away during the week. By all accounts, had a massive heart attack at 61 and has essentially passed away. Was a massive name, of course, in the college football scene, been around for a very, very long time. Just to read out a couple of his accolades: 2-time National Coach of the Year, 3-time Conference Coach of the Year, and probably one of the most interesting things, the master behind the NCAA record-setting air raid offense, which is what a lot of teams now run and has made its way into the NFL. Texas Tech University head coach before going to Washington State for many years before he finishing up at Mississippi State recently. A lot of really interesting stories coming out. I saw one during the week that a kid at college that won the kicking competition at halftime. He brought him onto the team and they didn't miss an extra point while he was on the team. So, kind of just interesting stories about a man that was, I guess, very full of life and very big in the college scene, especially in the FPS division that he coached in. So, yeah. Shout a beer, I guess, out to his memory and to all those impacted by his passing during the week.
Vale, Mike Leach, and a stellar career indeed. Definitely. Monks, how's your week been? We have the World Short Course Swimming on Down Under. Is that the way that you're going here with your beer?
Yes, might as well. Week's been good. Got a half day tomorrow at work, so even better. But yes, we probably don't talk about swimming too often. Probably once every 4 years.
Yeah, we're
a little thing
cleaning up the Yanks in the pool.
Yep, Olympics happen. But yeah, as you alluded to, the World Championships for the short course are happening at the moment, and I'm just gonna shout out a measly 4 people a beer this week.
It's a cheap one for you, cheap round.
Cheap one, yeah. The women's 4x100 relay team smashed the world record, getting gold this week. Emma McEwen, Megan Harris, Molly Callahan and Madison Wilson will put up some pretty stellar times.
Didn't think you could fuck 4 Anglo names as well as you did just then, but congratulations.
What do you mean?
Continue.
Sure, whatever. What did I say?
It wasn't Emma McKeon and
really?
Yeah, I'm doing it now too. It's contagious. O'Callaghan definitely didn't come out right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Whatever. I guess they're not getting beers then.
It's imposter. They're imposters.
That's it. Ah, jeez. Yeah, we're coming third towards the end of the third leg, I think. And then Emma McKeown. McCann. Whatever.
There's another one, McEwen, which is really the backstroker, Hayley McEwen and Emma McKeon. Yeah. I said swimming wasn't a good idea, boys, before the show, but anyways,
whatever.
I'll let you finish.
Yeah, brought it home, got the gold. End of story.
Short course as well.
Short course, that's the caveat.
Asterisks.
Three of them went under the world record time previously.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
But before you do yours, can you just get shift in here a little bit? You're a bit far out there, James. You're a
bit out of picture.
Get a bit closer.
Here we go.
There we go.
Kicking goals here.
On me.
Yes.
Do I shout a beer?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to shout young Campbell Kellaway, a beer. You might be asking yourself, who is Campbell Kellaway? Remember the name, I believe, with the way that this bloke is going, he might be playing for Australia proper coming up. He made 105 unbeaten against the touring South Africans for the Cricket Australia 11 in the essentially the only warm-up game before the tests start on Saturday. He's only 20 years of age. He only has 2 first-class games for Victoria. We might see him in the Big Bash as well for the Melbourne Stars. And when you're going up against the likes of Rabada, Ngidi, Janssen and Nortje, essentially the best pace attack in the world outside of Australia, probably England might have something to say about it. And you're 20 years old and they can't get you out. That is an absolutely amazing effort there. So enjoy a beer courtesy of the Esky and the best with the rest of your career, young Campbell Kellaway.
You seem to do this a lot, though. I think your list of potential cricketers that are in their 20s that could play for Australia it keeps growing week on week.
Yeah, there's about 100 that could play for Australia.
I'll get one.
Yeah, that's right. And then we can clip it up in 5 years' time and say, I told you so. There it is. There it is. It's going to be just any young cricketer that scores a ton. But alas, this one's different, man. This guy's different because he did it against an unbelievable pace attack.
Yeah. Flick enough mud, some will stick.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking of mud, who's going to clean up with the mop this week?
Yeah, we're giving it to a 12-year-old. picking on. I'd say we're picking on someone our own size, but he's bigger than us. Apparently, this was doing the rounds on the social media. Everyone connected to the meme world. In sports, saw this 12-year-old kid apparently who has a mustache, dreadlocks, tattoos, and 3 children himself. I heard that's playing middle school football over there in the States.
He's growing a better mustache than I am.
Yeah, it was thick, and a few of his teammates look pretty big as well.
Yeah,
So.
he won a state award, didn't he? And that's kind of where it blew up. He had a like best running back in the state or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Pretty easy when
like
you're 60 pounds on anyone.
Youth MVP, like youth championship MVP.
And that mustache was unreal.
Yeah, it's a lot better than Jimmy's was down the end of the table.
Was.
Yes.
It was the bench warmers that fella that comes out to pinch hit for him, drinking beer, and he's got a kid as well, and that stole that joke from that. Anyways, he gets a mop and probably be playing in the NFL.
As long as all his peers don't grow bigger than him in that time frame, then he could potentially have a long way to go. Maybe be playing on the offensive line if he keeps growing at that rate.
Indeed. I am 12. He's got his birth certificate from the Dominican Republic. All right, boys.
Bench warmers.
Massive summer of cricket. Take it away, Jim.
Yep.
You saw the cogs turning, so it's all right.
We're running smoothly tonight. Can you tell it's a weeknight? All right, boys. Australia, West Indies, Adelaide Test. This one kind of played out the way that we had predicted the first test might have. Not much resistance there from the West Indies. We won't cover day 1 and day 2 in too much detail because we covered it last week. Pretty much Marnus and Travis Head went gangbusters. Head with 175, Marnus 163. 500 runs for Marnus in the 2 tests. We'll pick it up on the Windy's first innings, Nathan Lyon, the best of the bowlers. The Windies only making 214. And forget Bazball, boys. It's run ball. Run ball. The Aussies go out and they make a quick fire 199 at 6.5 and over.
It does help when you get a 300-run lead. So.
No, run ball. Do you see they wrote run ball on a bit of paper and stuck it up in the dressing room so the cameras could see it?
Yeah.
Funny stuff. Usman Khawaja, we alluded to it last week. He's on 1,066 runs for the calendar year. That is second, just behind Joe Root, who has 9 more innings than him, mind you, in 2022. He's averaging 82 from his 17 innings, an absolute purple patch rewarding the selectors, and he's got 2 test matches left. Now, I thought it was a fairly astonishing achievement. Turns out there's actually a lot of Aussies that have made over 1,200 in a year. Ponting did it 3 times. Hayden did it 3 times. Smudge did it twice, and then once each for Mark Stubby Taylor, Booney, the GOAT, Warner, Damien Martin, Bob Simpson back in the 60s, Justin Langer, and how about Michael Clark? Shout out to his 2012 calendar year, where he made 1,595 at an average of 106.3. So Clark that year better than Bradman. The record amongst all nations for those playing at home, Muhammad Yusuf 1,788 in 11 tests at 99. Good luck beating that one, Uzi.
Wow.
So 2 tests. What's he need? He needs another 150 odd to make the 1,200 club, and then maybe he can start sort of chasing down a few of those other blokes there. Pretty illustrious company.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely. And he's going to need a massive effort to get any of those kind of big scores against South Africa in those 2 tests.
Yeah, different kettle of fish. Probably don't see us tailing him up for 77 like the boys did. Scotty Boland, mate, his average absolutely blown out to 10.33. He's in the double digits. He was unreal, just taking wickets at will in the 4th innings there. With the pink ball, Nisa and Stark also very good.
Yeah, West Indies only scored 77, so not a lot to run home, and it was over very quickly towards the end.
3.5 days, yeah. Yep.
Yes.
You had the note there about Mitch Stark. He's only got 4 Aussie quicks left ahead of him.
Yeah, and it was kind of an interesting little point that came out during the week, considering I guess how much hate and not love Stark gets a little bit of the time from the selectors, and he definitely has his ups and downs of form when he does spray a couple of them. But like you say, there's only 4 Australian fast bowlers in front of him: McGrath, Lilly, Johnson, and Brett Lee Binger. So it's like, for how much hate, going back to that Stark gets. Is he, I guess, one of our all-time greats in Australian fast bowling?
I think we're going to have to start talking about him as an all-time great. He's not that far behind Binger and Johnson, so he's probably going to
15 behind those 2. So
yeah, exactly. He's going to go top 3 at least, barring some kind of injury. So touch wood, he stays healthy. I'm going to try and chase up his pink ball record because it's amazing, and it has a lot to do with Australia's success in this Adelaide Test. So I'm going to go Stark pink balls. You boys want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, well, I guess if you circle all the way back, it kind of goes back to the World Cup. Why didn't we buy him?
It wasn't going to change anything in that circumstance, I don't think.
Oh, you never know. Might have some Scotty Boland numbers, and then it changes everything.
Yeah, I guess. Also, it's T20 cricket.
Still a fucking World Cup.
Don't worry, I was blowing our praises when we won the thing last year. There's nothing that's really coming up definitive there. I know he's gotten a plethora of pink ball.
That's 2 years old, and it's got 42 wickets there already.
So to be over 50 in pink ball tests.
Well, there you go, 56 wickets taken by Mitchell Stark in day-night cricket.
There you go. So that's 56.
Pretty good.
Speaking of pretty good, the GOAT gets 450. He's 8th all time. That's not an Australian list. That's everyone.
So he's 3rd Australians, I think. Only McGrath. And Warner ahead of him.
Exactly right. So Courtney Walsh is a long way ahead of him though at 519. Yeah. Difference, quick maths, 69. So does he get to 7th? Ooh, it's a lot of wickets, but he's also an off-spin bowler. Can play late.
He also. How old is he is the question. He looks a lot older than he is.
I think he's 34.
Yeah. So he's probably got another. Give him 3 years, easy.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Give us a confirmation of age.
You've actually gone for the Gary Lyon rather than Nathan Lyon. You boys know he played 250 games for Melbourne as well. He's a two-sport athlete and got kicked off the footy show for a spat.
Yeah.
I don't know why I always do that.
Didn't he burn his friend's business?
Oh, I don't know. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jimmy in his head going, nice, Gary. And he's looking at the actual Gary Lyon, his namesake for his nickname.
You got us an age down there?
I just need to start again. 35.
35.
Oh, forward.
Got that right.
1 year.
I don't know.
He could add 2 or 3 more years. He could take 69 wickets in that.
I feel into 37. I'm not sure. 38 is still getting back there. But the other question is there anyone really banging down the door to take his spot?
That is the exact right question to ask. And at this stage, no.
No, not really.
No. There's that Matt Kuhneman and Todd Murphy.
Swepson's.
Yeah, Swepson's eternally kind of been trying to break into the red ball team. But no one is banging down the proverbial door at this stage.
Yeah. So, yeah, he'll probably have that gig as long as he wants it until someone really just comes in and blows it out.
India is taking on Bangladesh in Chattogram, Bangladesh. I still think that should be the name of a social media or some sort of kind of messaging app, Chattogram. Anyways, the pressure is building on India big time. They just lost to Bangladesh 2-1 in the ODIs, and probably the most concerning thing for them out of that was Rohit Sharma, the incumbent skipper, dislocated his finger. India hasn't played a lot of red ball cricket this year. It's their first test match in 4 months and only the 6th of the year. So you'd have to go back to that replacement 5th test. Remember how there was the COVID one
against England?
Yeah, against England. So that's the last time they played. Sharma had COVID himself in that one, so Bumrah was skipper. And then you've got to go back to Sri Lanka and South Africa earlier on in the year when Kohli did step down. So they haven't had a lot of rhythm, I suppose, with red ball cricket. Obviously, T20 World Cup in there doesn't help things out. And we spoke a few weeks ago about them sacking their whole selection board.
Yes. So it looks like Rahul got the captaincy for this one, backing it up. What's interesting, I guess that's a decent score for first innings, 404 on the board. What's interesting in that top order, though, is Virat Kohli, 1 for 5. Everyone else got at least a decent start. A few of those went on to put together good scores. Pujara got 90 and
Shreyas Iyer, 86.
86.
Is that a good start to his test career?
Ashwin and Yadav as well.
Yeah, that's
tail wagging very well.
That's what I was saying to monks, especially in Asia, but we can see it happen here. The Gabba says hi. Their tail tends to wag. It doesn't matter, if it's Ashwin and Kuldeep Yadav. Akshay Patel often chips in, and of course Jadu, when he's healthy, can come in and do an absolute number on opposing attacks when he bats at 7.
But I think you're probably hoping that your tail end doesn't have to make 100 to give you a decent score.
Yeah, you don't want to rely on them, but you also, they bat to 9 always.
Yeah.
So I think it's still a strength of theirs that all their spinners are pretty handy with the stick as well.
Agree. I did say this during the week. If you had to pick an Indian batsman to be in the top 5, who would you have as in rankings currently?
As in top 4, I've seen the rankings, so I know who it is.
Yes.
It's not who you'd think.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
I was actually quite surprised that it was Rashad Pant.
Rashad Pant.
We were talking about.
Pant gonna punt.
In that 5th, because we had Manas at 1, Smith at 2.
I think Babar Azam is...
was the Pakistani guy, was 3, and then I can't remember who 4 was.
Monks you've got it there. Look at that. You've got one ready to go. You got one ready to go. You wouldn't read about it. Joe Root.
Joe Root, yes, of course.
He's 4. Rashad Pant, 5. Williamson, 6. And then Travis Head, let's go. 7. Uzi at 8. Dinesh Karunaratne at 9. And Rohit Sharma at 10. So 4 Aussies currently occupying the top 10 test bats in the world.
So it's really good for us, but also caveat, you just mentioned before, India haven't played in 4 months, whereas we've played a little bit. So.
Yeah, how these rankings actually work, much like the FIFA rankings, I've got no idea.
Well, I'd say if the Indians had any input into it, there'd be a lot more, but I just thought it was interesting that of that list of definitely talent, that it was part that is number one.
I know we've been harping on it about it for coming up on a few years now. Is Coley going to get a tap on the shoulder in red ball cricket soon?
If we eliminate his white ball form recently, then his red ball's been pretty dreadful.
Yeah. And even his white ball up until the T20 World Cup.
Yeah, leading
the big stage.
The few one days and then the World Cup itself, like leading into it, like that period, he was really good. And, Coley old. But maybe that's just where his game is. That's just, at the moment, it suits that kind of format. The long form of Test cricket. Because, I'm not sure if you can find very quickly there his recent Test innings. Jimmy or Pepe. I know it's. I assume that it's not very good.
Well, it's over 2 years since he scored a Test ton.
Yeah,
which is crazy. And you've seen.
And he's only had 1 ton overall in total across that, and that was in a 1 day game. So.
It's a long time. The proverbial monkey on the back. A lot's been going on down here, and with Dave Warner and his sort of lack of form. You can imagine that times 50.
That's actually a really interesting point, because I was quite surprised that some people were giving some heat into David Warner, because yes, he had against West Indies. He probably was hoping for to get him more batting practice like the other boys did, but he had some decent starts that just didn't really transition, and he chopped on a bunch, which didn't help his chances. But he still scored, 30, 40. Like, he was still doing well enough that he's not getting out, that he's being a hindrance to the team. He's scored enough that he's kind of like, hey, you've helped us a little bit. We probably would want more, but at least you've seen off the new ball. You've got us into this match a little bit.
He looked unreal. He looked as good as you can for a bloke making 30 or 40. He blazed outside off and chopped one on and got a little bit unlucky there. I tell you what it is, the Aussie media loves a turn on its own.
Well, they've got no one else to pick on. So.
Yeah. And old people hate David Warner. It's confirmed.
Yeah.
You see Paul
he's a cheat.
Oh, yeah, he's not in our culture. Ban him. And no one else knew about it, apparently. You see poor Candice copping abuse as well with their kids there at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, and Cricket Australia offered them security during the week if they wanted it. And Candice is like, it is on us a little bit, but also we shouldn't need that to go to a cricket game. That's just silly.
Like, banter's fun. Like, get stuck into players. Someone drops a catch. Sure, that's fair
the
game.
Barmy Army, the whole premise of chance and things it's good fun, but
a wife with their little girls there
into a wagon.
Pull your head in, man. Pull your head in.
Unacceptable.
It is. You got to leave the families out of it. I think bold prediction: Warner goes big at the Gabba. Warner goes big at the Gabba and silences all the old fossils.
We definitely hope so. And if not, I think he still contributes as a good member as an opener there. If he's getting, Coley scores under 10 regularly, then I'd be worried. But he's not really doing that.
We also have 4 of the top 10 batsmen in the world and Cam Green.
Yeah.
Just throw that in.
When was that last Test ton?
November 2019.
So it's 3 years.
3 years ago,
Wow.
Has had a few 50s there.
Yeah, plenty of 50s.
6 50s since then. But a lot under that.
Look how many yellows there are, between 16 and 19.
16 and 19.
Like the 3 year sort of period before there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double tons.
Yeah.
So
what's his last 12 months look like, James? Or his most recent?
He's got 150 this year, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, 150 this year.
Last time he scored 50 on the dot was September 2021.
That's not even the last 12 months.
No.
So in the calendar year, or the last 12 months, he doesn't have a Test 50.
Of course, hasn't played cricket in the last 4, so
Yeah.
Not good form there.
No.
Proverbial monkey on the back.
Yeah. Probably just quick news, I suppose, talking about Coley as well. Kane Williamson steps down as Test captain today as well.
Yeah, that's big news. Big news.
Yeah.
How old's Kane?
He'll be 35, I reckon. So it's sort of twilight era now for Coley, indeed, and then Kane Williamson probably not that far behind.
Well, 32.
Oh, It's that beard.
Yeah.
It's the beard. It's AM12. AM12. I thought he was older than Smith, so he's younger than Smith.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You talk about a baby face and then an old head. There you go. Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they announced
No,
potential
it
replacement?
was today's.
So
It's literally hot off the press.
fast bowler Tim South.
Southie going to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another
We'll
fast
take over.
bowler.
They're copying us,
Yeah,
hey?
everyone's
Yeah.
copying us.
Yeah.
There you go. Bit of black cap news there. Mark's with the breaking news. Well done. Pakistan is playing England, or is in between tests that they nearly exactly line up with the Australia games. You hate to see the Poms winning, but for World Test Championships, it's actually done us a favour.
Yeah. I do think Pakistan were robbed in this day.
Rob, UFC judges.
Yeah. that caught behind, which felt to me like that really broke the back of the Pakistanis innings because I think they were all out for 20 past that point. That to me hit the ground and rolled over. That's not a catch in the NFL. I don't think it is in the cricket either. So I feel like they were a bit hard done by with that one because otherwise they were pretty much cruising. Towards a victory there. So,
Chasing like 350 plus in the fourth innings on a deck which was pretty crumbly that threw out a few landmines. Which wicket are you talking about specifically? You have to keep going there, Mark.
It was in the 90s. So I think it was
Saud Shakil, caught Pope, bowled Wood.
Who's keeper?
Yeah.
Pope. Yeah, that's got to be it then.
Yeah,
it would have been. Oh, it was Muhammad. I can't. It was right towards the end. I was of course watching the side, but yes,
It was.
Well, just search controversial, Pakistani catch because it to me. Because I was watching this while I was doing some work, so I had this on the side there. Some afternoon, some evening cricket, late cricket.
some
work on the
multitasking.
weekend, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because I was actually getting a bit hyped so that they were cruising along, and there was every time I checked in on it, they were just getting closer and closer to that total, and the England really couldn't get him out at all. So maybe the third.
It was Saud Shakil.
Yeah, and he was just short of his 100.
That is touching the grass right there.
It 100% touches the grass, and the ball rolls over. Like I don't understand why they didn't give this as out.
Because they have and always will be cheats.
But it's in Pakistan.
Yeah, I'm talking about England.
Is this just playing
I don't know what
slow mo? Yeah, this is just terrible.
This is we don't have the rights to this footage. YouTube gear.
Yeah, that's a good one. That shows it.
Yeah, robbed, and big momentum shifter, as you say.
Because there was the 29 for 1 and 6. They'd only just got a wicket, and he was kind of like the last batsman here to get them close with 64 to go.
Did you say 29 for 1 and 6?
No, I said I might have said 220. 291 with 6 down.
Yep.
Sorry.
There we go.
So I'd given him out, and
So
for the boys watching this, keep going.
So he's sort of played a leg glance and it's gone down the leg
He's
side.
touched it.
Oh, see, live it doesn't look that bad. Well, I reckon live it looks more like a catch.
Yeah, it's like it's very quick, but
Here we go. This one will be good. This one will be good.
Hits the ground and it rolls over.
Yeah, that hit the ground. In the slow mo, you can see it.
So I feel for our Pakistani fans, listen, I feel you were robbed. It was a week of robberies, and I thought we'd throw that in there as well. That to me, because it hits the ground and the ball actually rolls over. Like it doesn't. You can see the seams move. Like
true.
To me, that's not.
And it wasn't given out by the umpire. So often these ones where it's inconclusive evidence. They'll go umpire's call. Yeah. So they've overturned it.
Yeah.
Jeez, robbery.
Robbery there. Bloody cheats the English. Pakistan, of course, unfortunately get a loss there, falling 20 short, and that would have been, if that had been correctly called, I think that's ends up being the difference.
Yeah,
that's
indeed.
the way I feel about it.
Indeed. Two very good, very different test matches. We saw the Bazball 600 plus
the first
runs
two,
in the
first 2 days on this on
landmine.
pitch, it was all over, and then for whatever reason it settled down.
Yeah,
so, it was.
Did the reverse of what we're used to, I suppose.
So that ended up being great Test match, and it's England. Coming back to Pakistan for the first time in quite a long time, having two great series, and Pakistan being very competitive. It's just great for Pakistani Test cricket at home.
Indeed. Speaking of home Test cricket, let's preview this massive series between the number 1 team and the number 2 team in the current World Test Championship standings. I am talking about Australia and South Africa. It's the first series since Sandpaper Gate, and having our media like to bringing that up. We spoke before about Warner, so probably don't need to revisit that. And some crowds expected. First day is meant to be sold out up there at Brisbane on Saturday.
It starts Saturday, so yeah, that helps.
Makes sense. Yeah, start Test matches on a Saturday, especially if you're playing lacklustre West Indies.
Especially because a lot of schools finish tomorrow. So
let's go. School's out for summer.
So it's first day of school holidays. It's like, kids, let's go watch Test cricket.
Boom.
Those South Africans, they're afraid of the Gabba.
That aged so well. We did get some views in those days. So this South African unit, let's talk about this unit quickly. We've got Rabada, we've got Janssen, we've got Ngidi, and we've got Nortje.
Yep.
I think it might be the best quick attack in the world.
Yeah, and surprisingly, they're quite young as a group.
Yeah, pretty inexperienced. Obviously, Rabada has a plethora of international experience. But yeah, Nortje and Janssen, I think I've only got about 20 tests between the two of them. I took a screenshot today, so I can give you actually some averages and the like.
Very, very good averages.
Yeah, well, they're all under 25. I'll tell you what they are. Rabada, 257 wickets at 22.4, strike rate at 40. Holy. And then, a little bit less experience, I suppose, in Ngidi, Nortje and Janssen. But how's this for starting off your Test careers? Lungi Ngidi, 15 matches, 49 wickets at 21, striking 43 balls. Anrik Nortje, 15 matches, 57 wickets, 27.5. I did say they're all under 25. Apologies there, but still a stellar strike rate. And then Marco Janssen, how's this for 7 Test matches? 37 wickets, average 18.5, strike rate under 6 overs. This is going to be interesting facing these quicks, and that's why I shouted that beer to young Campbell earlier in the show.
Yeah. And Janssen's he's the big fella, isn't he?
He's the big
boy.
boy.
C-U-N-T. So.
Yeah. he's a big fella. He is like 6'10", I think, something along those lines, and hasn't grown into his body.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how he goes in striking positions. Like, will he have those balls up around head height consistently?
Oh, indeed.
With, the decks that we like to churn out.
Yeah.
A little bit extra bounce. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an excellent Test series. It's going to be probably very close and hard fought, and it's probably the right kind of thing we need going into an Indian series in India. And I think, only Hazelwood's likely to miss the first one?
Yeah, so
Cummins and Boland is in? Is that the only forced change?
Yeah, that's the chat. So Cummins was bowling full tilt in the nets today. It looks like that rest against the West Indies has done him good, coming back from the quad injury. And Hazelwood looks like he'll miss out again. So Scotty Boland, you'd think... I think that's already been announced, actually. I think it's Boland in, and Nisa makes way for the skipper to come back. So we've spoken about these South African bowlers. Let's talk about their sticks, because I don't think they're as strong as they have been in the past. Dean Elgar, their skipper, he's pretty good. He got a ton in that warm-up game too. And then they're likely to go with the likes of Rassie van der Dusen, Sarel Irwi. I don't know if I'm saying that one right. Bavuma hasn't been playing in the Test side in the practice game, but he might be back in for the Test team. I'm uncertain exactly as how that top 6 is going to look. And their keeper will be that Kyle Verheyen. Not sure on that pronunciation either. You can get at me, anyone that speaks Afrikaans and listens to this. I was looking back at the old series wins, and I was talking to Monks about this pre-show. Back in the day, their batting lineup was very, very different. And when you've got the likes of Graham Smith, Hashim Amla, Faf du Plessis, of not related to Dirkus du Plessis fame, Jacques Callis, the best all-rounder of all time, and a bloke called AB de Villiers, of course they came out and were successful in Australia. So I don't know if they've got the batting depth to to get the series win here. I'm going to go bold prediction and say Australia wins this series on the back of our batting depth and being a more complete test unit. South African quick's going to be very good. I also don't think they have a world-class spinner, which might be interesting.
So confirm for me so that I have this right in memory. So de Kock has retired from red ball cricket. Yes. So that in itself is another big out for a batsman as well.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
the squad. So, but if, there's a lot of circumstances for the reasons behind why that has happened. But
Cough lollies.
Yeah, we don't need to. We don't need to cover all that off again. But yes,
I'm going back to Faf with a.
that was faff.
Yeah.
De Kock was more, I think, the management of South African cricket.
Yes, yeah.
But, a place that's got just as much politics in cricket as we do.
Probably more.
Yeah, probably more. So, yeah.
Also, casting minds back to 2016-17, a few of those aforementioned sticks had retired. I think, they were captained by Faf. I think Amla was still around in that series, but the likes of Cullis had definitely gone, and they still got the win, and that was, you might cast your minds back to that Hobart test where they skittled us for 85, and Kyle Abbott and Vernon Philander were absolutely feasting. So it's going to be an interesting series. I think we should go into this as favourites and end this hoodoo of 16 years, what's 18 to 14 years of South Africa winning test series in Australia, and I think we get the job done in this one.
When did they last play Test cricket?
The South Africans?
Yeah.
They had that home series win against India where...
Which was before the World Cup.
Yeah. Monks, can you chase up? Have they played Test cricket since then? Because that was in March.
Yeah.
Like, that was ages ago. I'm sure they've played probably since then. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Because that's the only thing I can remember is when they played... That was when the whole de Kock thing happened. So they themselves could be a little bit rusty coming into this.
Surely they've played since then.
Well, they had the warm-up. Maybe that was why they were a bit rusty. Couldn't take wickets against the young fellas.
Can I beat Monks here?
Oh, it's a race.
Here you go. So you go to House Stat and then you type in the country and then you just go all series. They had a three series, that 3 test series against England. Yep. And England won that 2-1.
Was that in England or at home?
In England. They also played Bangladesh and New Zealand since. So they've played a measly 7 tests since that.
But they've only played one series, which is in August since March. So.
Well, 2 tests is still a series.
Yeah. No, that was in March though. The dates. I'm looking at the dates there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was in August and the one above.
Oh, so since March.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
They've only played one series.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So in this fin year, I'll make it easier for you. They've only played one test series.
Don't get financial years and taxes and shit going with me. That'll make it more confusing.
So not a lot of test cricket for them.
Correct. Thoughts? You with me in Australia, get the job done and end this hoodoo, or are you less confident?
At home, you always got to back the home squad. So definitely confident that we can do a job. We just got to, I guess, bat well against the that fast bowling attack.
Mm-hmm. Should we talk some World Cup?
Yes, let's do it. And it's been a pretty hot World Cup. And let's get started with a Sue.
Yeah, a few massive upsets. The Esky curse continues. Although we kind of said you watch one of the big sides will get knocked out. We probably didn't think it was going to be Brazil.
I think my exact quote was, Brazil aren't ready to choke yet. Maybe that'll be in the semi-finals.
That was your exact quote,
so
in verbatim.
Yeah, so they choked a little bit earlier than I thought they would.
They did against Croatia. Absolute giant killers, the Croatians. 0-0 at full time, although Brazil had been peppering the goals. The Croatian keeper, Dominik Livakovic, absolutely unreal. I think he had like 11 saves in the game. Look, I love to hate this bloke, but you have to recognise how individually gifted he is as a footballer. Neymar just tore him apart in the 105th minute for the go-ahead, and then the Croatians did take a little bit of luck with a big deflection on the Bruno Petkovic goal in the 117th. And then, as per many of these knockout games, goes to pens, and you've got to hit your pens when it counts. Mm-hmm. The Croatians hit all theirs, and Rodrigo and Marquinhos missed theirs, with Marquinhos smashing that left woodwork, and the ball bouncing back the other way as the Brazilians bounce back to South America.
Yes, on the plane and away they go.
They do love a choke, especially recently, sort of late 90s, very different Brazilian team, of course, in those days. But
especially when we start thinking about, they're the heavy favourites. They've got a pretty good clear path into the final. They just take the foot off the hammer.
And fans, you see how many people wearing yellow jerseys in that crowd?
There's a lot of Brazilian fans that are still waiting.
Indeed. Argentina and the Netherlands, the possession was pretty even in this game. Argentina had more shots. We spoke about Neymar and his individual brilliance, a guy that I kind of like as a dude a bit more, absolutely carrying this Argentinian team at his tender age of 35. Lionel Messi, beautiful through pass to put Molina in for the go ahead, and then Messi, who had missed a penalty earlier in the tournament, he scored in the 73rd minute from the spot, and if it wasn't for the individual brilliance of young Wout Weghorst, I don't think he's even that young. I think he might be in his early 30s, but he's a bit of an unknown. He was at Wolfsburg for a little bit at Besiktas there in Turkey. Headed home, smashed it one into the side net, and then did you see the set piece where it was like a FIFA set piece where you do like the fake shot and they just do like a little pass and they put it in, and it was really clever, and that was in like the 101st minute or something, because you know how they don't have the VAR and the HIAs, they go into their injury time.
Yeah.
I think there was 27 minutes of injury time in one of the group games. It's been crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that they've put a heavy preference in the World Cup to include like all time spent, because there's they were sick of kind of teams trying to slow the games down and spend a lot of time. So they've got. I think the refereeing boss has kind of put on and was like, let's account for it all and get all the minutes in for this World Cup, so everyone's got a chance. I think it's actually played out pretty well. Like it definitely gives
makes things interesting at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives some very because you used to 3, 4, 5 minutes add on, and then they say something like 15. You're like, oh, okay, there's a big part of soccer still to be played here, a big part of football. So yeah, and we've seen a lot of goals scored in that time frame as people start to get really deep into the tired period.
Yeah, fatigue rugby league or fatigue football. Yes. So extra time couldn't split these two teams. It goes into pens at Desmond 2-2, and then you keep it a step up, and Emilio Martinez from Aston Villa, he stepped up, saving one from Van Dijk, and it got a little bit heated after the game. You saw the Argentinians, a few of them were... I
think it's pretty heated through that whole game. There's plenty of yellow cards handed out.
Yeah, a few slices of cheese. And then as they sort of ran to go celebrate the last penalty, they were in the faces of the Dutch, and Van Dijk pushed a bloke over, and you wouldn't want to fuck with big VDV, especially after he had a penalty save.
Yeah, it was... I think even you said it leading into it. They've got a bit of history, a bit of hate.
There's actually a lot of knockout games between the La Orange and the Argentinians. So, a little bit of history. I suppose these actual players themselves, not so much, but they would know the history of these two teams in World Cups.
Yeah, and I think there's some quotes there from Messi that he got caught on TV. Get stuck into the ref a little bit after the match as well.
He did, yeah.
Maybe they weren't overly happy with the umpiring in this one.
We spoke about him in the group stage, but Cody Gakpo, I think it's Gakpo, Gakpo. He's 23-year-old at PSV Eindhoven. All the big clubs in England looking at him. It's going to be interesting to see where he puts the pen to the paper. Find anything there on Argentina and Netherlands in World Cup history?
Yes, I have. I haven't got what rounds they knocked each other out of.
But 06 and 14, they played each other in the World Cup.
Yep.
And there's actually a fair few, like going back into like in the 70s and in the 90s as well.
Yeah.
A bit of history there.
Yeah, I'd say how the groups usually work out, they probably would only be playing each other post the group stage. So,
true.
Is there the rivalry heavy favourite in one country there, James?
Yes. So Argentina has pipped them more times than not. So current standing, I suppose, Argentina's won 4 of 1, 2. Does FIFA celebration count?
No.
So they've
just World Cup.
Yep.
So is it 4 and 2? Is it?
I think. Yep.
Yeah. So Argentina, and I'm sure they'll see each other again in World Cups forthcoming.
4-1 and a draw.
1 draw.
Yeah.
So that must have been a group stage in 06.
Yeah.
Good luck to the other 2 teams in that group.
Definitely.
Morocco, the story of the tournament. They get through Portugal in the third quarterfinal. Youssef and Nesri. Do you see this goal? Absolute crazy vert. Might see him at the draft combine, if you know, for hoops or for American football. And then they held on to that lead. My question here was maybe Portugal had too much of an easy run into it. So this was the Portuguese lead up, Uruguay, Ghana, South Korea, and then absolute pantsing of Switzerland in the round of 16. Whereas Morocco they drew with Croatia in the group stage and then had to go through Belgium and Spain.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty unreal run for the Atlas Lions and massive for the whole Arab world. You know, first World Cup in the Middle East, obviously dubious circumstances, but I think anyone of sort of Arabic descent probably jumping on the Moroccan bandwagon after the other teams all got knocked out in the group stage.
Yeah, definitely. And they send Ronaldo home, and that was probably his last World Cup chance of winning one. So, yeah, we probably the thing that forever got left off his legacy.
A young me would have been very disappointed to look into a time machine and realise that Cristiano Ronaldo would not. Well, he's old, and I'm old, but I'm not where I should be in life. That as a United fan and what he did for United in his early 20s, to think that he would never win the World Cup. He did win the Euros with Portugal, and it's been the debate. It's been the big notch missing off his cap and Lionel Messi, but Messi's got a chance, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, just the antics, I suppose, of the last sort of year and a half, 2 years. It's been he's making it difficult to like the bloke a little bit at times.
True.
Did have the tragedy, losing one of his twins, and you wonder as well if that's playing into some of his attitude on the football pitch, and maybe he's just gone, oh fuck it, I just need to look after my family and just keep cashing them checks, and
exactly.
and it is what it is.
As you get older, you care less about what everyone else is thinking and doing.
Exactly.
And so
I guarantee you, who gives zero fucks about any of our opinions? Cristiano Ronaldo.
He's got 200 million reasons why he doesn't give a fuck. So
Yeah, and plus the other billion.
yeah. Exactly.
200 million new reasons.
Plus whatever sponsorship deals he's got at the moment. He's sorted. So for him, I guess, it's very much legacy. And he after this match was, despondent on the way off, very sad. So it ends there. And another team that it ends for.
It's not coming home. Football's not coming home.
It's not like we don't like the English. It's just we don't like them.
We are Aussies.
It's part and partial.
One bloke here with pure convict blood down the end.
Oh, yeah, 100% convict blood.
But this was actually a really good game of football. A really nice goal early on from Aurelian Tchouameni, 17th minute. Great strike from distance. Obviously, a lot had been spoken about Paul Pogba not being fit for this World Cup. This one looked like a Pogba bomb from range. And then Harry Kane. There was a few penalties in this game. The first one he put away after Bukayo Saka.
No one talks about it, though.
Was taken down in the box. It was a fucking excellent penalty, this one.
But no one talks about it.
Smashed to the side of the left net. We talk about mate against mate in State of Origin. This is mate against mate here on the world stage. His good mate, long-time teammate there at Spurs in Hugo Lloris. But after Giroud's header in the 78th minute, it went down to this penalty shot, which done the rounds on the internet this week. It was dreadful, wasn't it?
Yeah, to the moon.
To the moon. Yeah, a few of those, that.
Actually, I did
Shooting
see,
stars,
I
man.
did see the Johnny Walker ad.
Yes.
Yeah, so he'd done an ad pre World Cup with Johnny Walker, where he
Keep on walking.
where he's practicing
Johnny Walker,
pens.
the rugby union kicker.
Yeah, as in English.
As in that Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Johnny Wilkinson.
Oh, Wilkinson. Oh, whatever. Oh, that was Walker. Wilkinson.
Johnny Walker is a UFC fighter, and he's a whiskey. It's a whiskey, and it's keep on walking. I haven't seen the ad, but you're obviously talking about Johnny Wilkinson of 2003, heartbreaking Wallabies fans.
Wilkinson. Yes.
Work with me here, boys. Work with me.
They did an ad. He was practicing pens. Puts it top bins, and Johnny's just like, no, that's not how you do it. And he shows me how to do it. He kicks it over. He's like, you do it like this.
Oh, no.
So then Harry Kane does it, and he kicks it. Yeah, he gets it, and Johnny's like, perfect.
Oh no!
And then this happens. So that was doing all the rounds big. Yeah. Whoever the company was that did that advertisement is absolutely loving the press at the moment.
I bet.
But Harry Kane, not so much for throwing it away. And it took me forever to figure out this was actually Johnny, because he's got a luscious beard at the moment.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was some coach, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Harry Kane's just kicking goals."
He doesn't look as blonde either.
No. So he puts it away, and he's like, "No."
He also doesn't look like he owns a $1 billion whiskey company.
Yes, Wilkinson. Yes. Shows him how to do it. Lines it up.
He's going to do the hands together. Yeah, of course. The hands together. Yeah.
Sends it off.
That's nearly went as high as Harry Kane's penalty.
Yeah. Well, Harry Kane then backs it up and then does the exact same thing.
Who's this for? Comedy skit for Britain's new channel.
Rugby World. Don't know.
I don't even know what this is for.
CB News.
GBN News.
Yeah. Britain News Channel.
Or GB News. Yeah. Great Britain News.
Yeah. He just kicks it over, and they're just like, "Why?" Anyway,
funny.
It ended up being a bad look, unfortunately, for Harry Kane. They get bumped out. The French team get the win there to move through the semi-finals.
Just quickly on England, I think next World Cup, we spoke earlier about the USA coming into their strides, and we talk about windows and how Croatia, they're going to lose probably Modric and Perisic, and maybe coming out of their window. I think England will be going into their window next World Cup.
What about Harry Kane?
He's not that old. I think he's only 28, 29.
He'd be early 30s, so still very, very doable.
I think he'll be fine. All these players I've put in will be in their prime. Everyone that I'm reading out now will be between 24 and 28 moving forward. Yep. Saka, Mason Mount, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Declan Rice, Marcus Rashford, and then I've put in bold here because Jude Bellingham's 19 at the moment, and he's fucking that good. So he's going to be 23, and Phil Foden's only 21 or something, so he'll be like 25. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for England. They maybe need to sort out a little bit of their back four and work out who their best two centre backs are. Mm-hmm. As a United fan, a lot's been sort of made of Harry Maguire, and it was Maguire that was marking up on Giroud on that last goal. So it's going to be interesting for England moving forward. But I think in terms of a midfield and attack sort of setting, I think in 2026 they'll be looking red hot.
Where is that World Cup again?
US and A,
that's right.
Canada and Mexico, 48-team World Cup.
The North Americans. Mm-hmm. Yes. Semi-finals. Argentina, Croatia kick us off.
I sort of just mentioned it about Croatia really being in their window. Luka Modric, 37. So he's as with Ronaldo, has probably played his last World Cup game. Mm-hmm. Modric is an unbelievable story. He was born to refugees. His grandparents were killed in the war. Had fucking nothing growing up, and has led a tiny nation. 4 million people live in Croatia. Mm-hmm. Has led them to a World Cup final and a World Cup semi-final. Didn't get the ultimate glory in lifting the Copa del Mundo, but an unbelievable effort from Modric in his career. I think Perisic will also retire. I think Lovren's getting a little bit old too. In terms of breakout tournaments, Josko Vardiol, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Apparently Chelsea, United, and City all interested in signing him. He's over at he's over at Leipzig in Germany. He's probably the one of the Croatians that will get earmarked for a big payday coming out of this World Cup. In this one, it was Messi brilliance again. Did you see the goal where he held the ball for 11 seconds? I think
big down the sideline,
down the whole right wing.
Does the defender in, gets it in, and then just hands it off to his mate to put it in the goal.
So good, man. Like, yeah, we saw Portugal in that Switzerland game, and do they even need Ronaldo? Kind of, yeah. Argentina need Messi. Messi. He's still their best player by a long way.
Definitely.
By a long way. Yeah. Argentina go through Croatia reasonably easily. And then this morning's game between France and Morocco. I spoke about Morocco being the talking point of the whole tournament, the first African nation to make the semi-finals. I think 3 or 4 have made quarters and lost. So big for an African nation to actually get there. Did you guys see Samuel Eto'o, he's a former Cameroonian player? He picked this as a semi-final.
Yes.
The other side of the draw, it was just misses, like just bricks. Shooter's going to shoot.
He pretty much picked
all the
African teams to make it deep in the World Cup. Yeah,
he had Cameroon winning the World Cup. So people tending to hide that fact.
He just picked the Morocco one. So,
but yeah, he had Morocco and France. So if you black out one side of the bracket and just have this side of the bracket, you'll be like, Samuel Eto'o, I'll hit you up for some tips next time, or some ticks if you've been in the Australian bush for a long time. France, they were way too good. They've been my pick from the start. I think that they're just way too good. You see some ugly scenes in France today, a few riots, a lot of people of Moroccan descent.
Yeah, they basically said if Morocco wins, they riot. If they lose, they riot. So, you can't win with. And they had rioted, I believe, after their last victory to make it to the semi-finals. So, yeah, it is what it is.
It's a bit wild in France at the moment. I think the political situation over the last few years has been pretty crazy. So look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens if they win the World Cup and what Paris is going to look like. The other sort of interesting thing is it's like a generational thing. So a lot of these Moroccan dudes are born in Europe and have chosen to play for Morocco despite being eligible to play for Belgium or the Netherlands or France or Spain. And then a lot of the French guys have African descent. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting, just in terms of a worldwide kind of phenomenon, rather than just sort of the football side of things.
Yeah, looking at that French list there, they're very multicultural, and I guess that kind of makes sense where France is located in Europe. So.
And
people travelling in and out of it.
Yeah, and just the francophone world. There's so much, we talk about how widely spoken English is, but French is really wide spoken through West Africa, and a lot of people, try to immigrate to France from West Africa, and they've got, a lot of Congolese and Malian and Cameroonian descent players.
Yep,
that's it.
All right, the big one will be Sunday night. I was spewing when I found out that it's 2 a.m. our time. All these other games have been 6 a.m. have been good. Get up early. If you got to go to work, hopefully you can get to work before after the Pens start.
Does that make it a morning game then?
It's afternoon. So you remember the group games? The
morning games were 9
They were 9 p.m. Yeah, exactly.
So it's right in the middle of that.
So it's like a twilight game. Yeah, which is a little bit frustrating for us, but
Why not play it at night? I guess it's worse for us, but better for Europe. So
yeah, well, maybe Sunday afternoon in Europe.
He's got 6
p.m. in Qatar.
Yep.
It's shit viewing time for us, but there'll be a few sickies getting around Monday morning, you would think.
Yep.
The FIFA simulation, we spoke about it before the World Cup started. I double checked it. Yeah, it had France getting knocked out in the semi-finals with Argentina beating Brazil. But when we looked at the bracket, that didn't make much sense unless one of these teams finished second in their group.
Yeah.
Regardless, they had Argentina winning the World Cup. Life is a simulation. Therefore, Argentina win this one.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been wrong since the turn of the millennium. Since 2000.
What FIFA hasn't been right?
Yeah, wrong for World Cup prediction. So it's since 2000. It's predicted the winners of the World Cup.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So that's the reason why this is so important. It's why I keep bringing up the FIFA simulation. It's picked all the previous World Cup winners. Which a lot of them have been heavy favourites, so it does help in that bit a little bit. But yeah, I believe it hadn't picked one wrong since 2000.
What was the World Cup where the octopus was picking winners? And it got so many right. Yeah. And they're like, this crazy octopus.
Yeah.
He's probably calamari somewhere.
Yeah. That was a while ago, yeah. Anyway, it's quite an interesting matchup. It's after Brazil choked, they were probably the two best teams to make it through this. I think France is probably the
Paul the Octopus Monk's running through it. Oh, he didn't live too long, Rob Paul.
No.
2008 to 2010, luckily, because he died just after the World Cup.
He picked the World Cup winner.
job done, and then off he went.
Projections by Paul the Octopus in 2010. That's 12 years ago.
Jeez, yeah.
There you go. So he picked Spain. He got
all the way
Spain
through to the final.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Did he get results as well, Paul?
I don't think so.
Paul the Octopus.
Yeah.
So what do you boys think in this one? Who do you have as winning it all?
It's all going to come down to France and can they shut down Lionel Messi. Although Messi's had a little bit of help in this one. Lisandro Martinez been very good. Their keeper, who was also Martinez, Emiliano, has been really, really good. But you think just France on paper is a more well-rounded side. I think they might be able to, if they can shut down Messi, they can probably pull away with a win here, which is crazy to think that they still are without the likes of Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner, Paul Pogba, and Rafael Varane hasn't been playing either. So very, very deep the French team is. Monks, unless you've got anything there on the FIFA chat. You're chasing that up?
They correctly predicted the last three winners for 2010, 2014 and 2018.
So not quite since the turn of the millennium, but yeah,
just checking
three in a row. 3 in a row is pretty good there from FIFA. It kind of makes sense. Like if anyone's ever played that game, it's pretty fucking realistic, really.
Yeah.
All the sports games are these days. Look at that. Bookies can't split them, man.
Yeah.
I would have thought France would be favourites, at least by a little bit in this one.
Yeah, how we're talking about Victorians and dinner and tea and shit.
Yeah.
Well. You say France. I say France. France. That's Courtney Barnett as well.
Bogan, though.
Never thought I'd talk about Courtney Barnett on this podcast, but there you go. $1.90 a piece. I want Argentina to win, I think, because of Messi. I haven't liked anything else that they've done in this tournament. I think they haven't been that gracious in their victories. They knocked Australia out. But how about this one? The Socceroos, guess who the only two teams they lost to in this World Cup were?
Yes, the eventual winner. Australia, third best team.
That's science right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That is science. Australia's playing off for third, and Morocco to play against Croatia for fourth and fifth. There you go.
Yeah, I'd probably back that. I think France will win.
France.
But I'd much prefer Argentina.
Mr. Frenchman.
Yeah, I'd much prefer Argentina to win purely for the Messi.
For Messi, yeah.
Max?
So hang on, I've got some better odds here. So France are the favourites, $2.75. Argentina's $2.87. So
that's regular time, but to lift the cup, it's $1.90.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Argentina on pens.
You going Argentina on pens?
Pens.
There you go.
Yep.
World Cup final on pens is scenes.
Yes, definitely.
Viva Italia 2006.
Well, what we don't want to see is a 7-1 by France here on Argentina.
Yeah, Germany, Brazil, 2014 semis.
Yes. The final kind of question I put here, and I wanted to ask, if Argentina actually do win this, and then Messi gets that on the resume, does that end the discussion, the debate of these two competing as the GOAT of the last generation?
Absolutely not. That debate will never end. It will be a nice, thing for the Messi fans to put on Messi's resume. But this is just going to be one of those ones. It's going to be LeBron versus Jordan. It's going to be Shane Warne versus Matteo Murali-Duran. It's going to be Ronaldo and Messi, and it'll be argued for generations to come, I'd imagine.
And I guess my flip to that question is, if France win this. Does that end the debate and Mbappe's
is the new best player in the world?
Yeah, 2 World Cups, and he's got another decade probably of soccer to go.
You know which 2 players are leading this tournament for goals?
Who?
Messi and Mbappe.
Yeah, so
he's so good, man. So
is it the changing the guard a little bit? As in, we're seeing the end of Messi and Ronaldo, and we're moving into the
Mbappe era. Yeah, with Neymar sort of caught in between the two of them. Yeah, imagine that. Mbappe. I think I said on the pod he's 22 last week or the week before. He's 23.
He can win 4 World Cups. Just put it that way.
I've seen. And you think over the last 20 years. France winning in 2018, they won in 98. If they win on Sunday, that would be 3 within 24 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy scenes there from the French.
Yeah, just considering how elite some of the other teams are as well, that they've been able to, I guess, consistently go deep and not choke. So maybe it's their time to choke after winning it last time.
Now, we also talk about changing of guards. There's going to be a changing of the guard from the older French. So we spoke about Giroud and how he became the top scorer for France.
Yep.
So he's 36. Do you guys know he played French League 3 as like a 20-year-old? And then moved up to French League 2 and then got into French League 1, and that's when Arsenal picked him up.
Yeah,
so he didn't play
all the goals.
He didn't play top flight football until he was 22, 23, which for footballers is highly unusual. Like often they're in an academy at 14.
Yeah, well, Mbappe won a World Cup.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. But changing of the guard. So Giroud is 36, Lloris 35. So keepers can go pretty old, but that'll be pushing it as a 39-year-old.
Maybe one.
Benzema's 34, and people were already saying he was slow before his Ballon d'Or winning year. Even Griezmann's 31, so he'll be 35. So a lot of those storied vets will be old in 2026. But yeah, the talent that they've got coming through, whether with Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele, Kingsley Coman, they're only going to be 29 and 30. They're elite. The Hernandez boys, they'll go around again. Upamecano, Tchouameni, who scored that worldly goal, they're all going to be there in the next World Cup. So you'd imagine they'll be pretty strong in 2026. Alas, we've got the big one upcoming. Get at us in the comments who you think's going to
Sunday
win.
morning for us.
No, it's Monday. It's
Monday
Sunday.
morning.
I wouldn't give a fuck if it's 2 a.m. Saturday night. You know what I mean? But it's going into Monday.
Yeah.
All right, let's go across the pond.
Before we start that, just to show how irrelevant Big Bash League is, we didn't even talk about it in the cricket section.
No, we didn't. There is so much Big Bash coming up, so we'll cover it at a later time.
It's kicked off. It kicked off with maybe a little bit of a fizzle.
It was in Canberra. The first night.
Don't watch free-to-air TV, but it's underway for the third game today with Renegades currently got 140 with 5 overs to go against the Heat.
Where are they playing? That looks like Townsville or Cairns.
Brisbane, yeah, probably somewhere North Queensland.
And the other thing that is scenes, I suppose,
it says the stadium at the top there.
Kazali's, that is Cairns.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Oh, Chris Lynn. Have you seen he's coming out and to that New York Mets dude that plays the trumpet for their closing pitcher, and they had the dude playing the trumpet on top of the Adelaide Oval for him to come out. Pretty fun.
Madison's starting to heat up a little bit there too. So
yeah,
and Big Russ.
Yeah, look at that. Nick Madison staring down the barrel of a ton there. No jinx. Just reverse sweeping Kuhneman for
That's
6.
a pretty luscious smeller for Mr. Madison.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get stuck into some NFL. Jimmy?
Oh, he broke his ankles.
And we get a full week preview. Considering we're doing this on Thursday night, we'll get Thursday night's game, which is tomorrow. We got, I guess that's a good spot to start off. We got the 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Big news: Deebo Samuels. Don't run your talented players up the middle. He has an MCL and an ankle sprain. Should be back by the end of the season, regular season that is, but he is going to be out for this one. Brock Purdy. It's Purdy. Put the Bucks to the sword. He's got an oblique injury and is 50-50, I think, to actually play in this one.
Who's their backup?
I have no idea. I think they got Josh Johnson off Denver's practice squad for his billionth team. And I think they've got someone else come in. But, yeah, he did an absolute job against the Bucks. They look good. Walker will play. He was off the injury report. Kenneth Walker III, that is. The Hawks do need a win to actually stay with the 49ers. They're 1 game back. Big divisional week, and this is a big divisional week here. But I think Niners D is probably the difference. They've been pretty good of late.
I'd agree. Very, very good. Did a number on the Bucks. But can we talk a bit more about Brock Purdy? Mr. Irrelevant, apparently, with the last pick. SportsCenter, the headline was Mr. Relevant. You know, he is the first quarterback ever to beat Tom Brady in their first career start.
Yes.
That is a fucking nod to how good the GOAT is, but also maybe a massive accolade for Brock Purdy. I actually, you know, the way that I've been playing fantasy football, and anyone that's listened to the podcast will attest to, don't listen to me regarding anything in this sport. I got the Bucks D because I thought them going up against a rookie quarterback, and Tom Brady always is father of rookie quarterbacks. I thought they would get the job done. Absolutely not. Got pants 35-7. Bucks D minus 3 points. Thank you.
I was going to say it was a minus.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a bad outcome.
It was very bad. That's San Francisco 49ers defense is a nasty. Good luck, Seattle, I think, in this one. I'm going to go San Francisco regardless of who plays quarterback, having learnt my lesson from last week.
Samuels is a big out, but they've still got CMC, still got Kittle, still got a whole bunch of talent there that can potentially put up big points.
Nice to see CMC on a team that's good. And he's been feasting. He has been feasting.
He has, yeah.
We got Saturday night football over there, which Sunday.
Very interesting.
Yeah, they normally do it this time of the year as the college.
Leading into Christmas.
Yeah, and college games start to wrap up.
Yeah. So we kick off with the Colts taking on the Vikings, and it's pretty interesting. We all thought the Vikings would win last week, and then looking at the bets, the odds, sports bet that we looked at had the Lions as the favourites, and they obviously knew more than we did.
It's rigged, man. NFL's rigged, dude.
The Lions actually go out and win, and large point of it because Minnesota's Vikings defense is
woeful.
Terrible, yes. Yeah. So I guess that kind of leads into the questions. Are the Vikings a bit of a fake? Is it 10-3, I think, now?
Yeah, you saying they got a negative points difference?
Yes, and they're the only team in that division that does. Oh, no, the only 10 win team that has a negative. Everyone else is 100 plus.
Yep. So, that speaks Dave Grohl vibes to me of pretender fame.
Yeah. The Colts, on the other hand, have lost 3 straight. Matt Ryan's still going to be the starter. I think this is probably just a nice rebound for the Vikings, irrespective of that.
I'd agree. The odds reflect that. I think the Vikes get the job done in this one. Justin Jefferson, he goes all right.
Yeah, he's now leading the league in receiving yards, had 200 in the Lions, trying to chase that down. So he's 400 short of Megatron's record currently, 484, I think.
With 4 games to go, they may sit him for the last one.
Potentially.
Yeah, because they're going to have that division
They need to,
up.
If they win this game, I think that clinches the division for them. They're 1 win away from clinching. So, it's
all Vikings here. I'd imagine should get it done, really.
Yep.
So then we lead into Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns. And Huntley, I did write this originally, as most likely will be out with concussion.
Yeah, the way that the league's been this year, he should be out.
He was a full participant at training today, so it really depends on how he goes through the protocols and gets out of it. But it sounds like he's pretty close. Otherwise, Anthony Brown was their quarterback last week after he got concussed.
Who the fuck is that guy?
He was like a 6th round draft pick, I believe. So getting pretty deep on quarterback depth, and it's been a pretty hard year for quarterbacks.
Yeah, a lot of them going down, aren't they?
Yes. Browns on the other side have still been struggling. Their defense has been average. Watson's kind of slowly working his way back into football. Can the Browns beat a struggling or beat a hurt Ravens team? I still don't see it. I think the big difference might be here, be the Ravens D and how they do. If they can keep it a low-scoring game, then potentially whoever's quarterback for Baltimore can get the job done. J.K. Dobbins has been excellent for them and is back into the fold and should have a good day feasting on the Cleveland Browns defensive.
I might go the other way. I think the Browns can absolutely get the job done. The Ravens are far less scary without Lamar Jackson. Yeah. And this Anthony Brown's an undrafted dude out of Oregon with not much NFL experience. They're going to have to try and rely on their D, which isn't as good as it used to be.
No, it's not a classic D, but Cleveland aren't as great as they've been. It's actually a huge game for Baltimore because they... who do they have to keep pace with?
The Bengals. They're both 9-4.
Yeah, okay. They've got the same records. Yeah, they keep pace with them to potentially get a win. They win the division they need to win here. So it is a big game. I'm feeling low scoring in this one, considering the situations of both teams.
Yep, I'd agree.
Yep. So Miami Dolphins and Buffalo is the last game on Saturday. Cole Beasley is coming out of retirement to join the Bills, to join their wide receiver group, which is...
Had that massive year 2 years ago, made the NFL top 100 and then didn't want to get the jab and essentially...
Didn't get re-signed after that.
Yeah, lost his job because of that. Now the NFL has sort of relaxed that policy, haven't they?
Yeah, and I guess he's a bit of a favourite target, nice outlet for Allen. Probably taking Isaiah McKenzie's
is their third
role potentially, or maybe as a compliment there because they do like to go 4 wide. So maybe it's even more of a less tight end, less Dawson Knox. He hasn't had the great year by all accounts. So it'll be interesting to see. They do take on Miami. Tyreek Hill had the ankle injury. Seems to be in training uninjured, so should play. They've actually lost 2 straight and face another strong football team here.
With Snow predicted.
With Snow predicted, they did beat the Bills in their first meeting.
Yeah.
But it's very different up there, and at the moment it's very cold in Buffalo. I think the Bills get the job done here.
I'd agree. And, the weather going to play a big factor in this one. Miami struggles to run the ball at the best of times.
Jeff Wilson, I think, will miss this game as well with a hip injury.
Yeah. Do you see some reporter said to Josh Allen, can they win the Super Bowl with their offense not being that good or something like that? And he said, okay, or something. He gave him a one-word response. Shook his head.
Sure.
What? Yeah, sure, or something. He's like, what are you watching to say that our offense isn't good?
Yeah, they're a high-powered offense. Maybe Allen's numbers haven't been as big as some of the others that are ahead of him in the MVP race, and that's maybe where that conversation comes from. But they still win football games. They've got a good defense. They still got elite talent across the board. They will be deep into the playoffs.
I think it's them and the Chiefs and daylight in the AFC.
Yeah, agree. Kicking off Sunday, we get Philadelphia at the Chicago Bears. Interesting, Fields had an illness, didn't train today. Should still be good in playing this one, but it's just worth looking out. Hurts moves into MVP favourite after Mahomes threw 3 picks against Denver. Bears, very much every report I look at of the Bears is they're thinking about draft picks. They've been officially eliminated from the playoffs and are currently picking 3rd, I think. Can they keep pace with the Eagles? I doubt it.
Absolutely not. Jalen Hurts at $1.62. So how good's that when just a couple years ago people were saying this guy doesn't have the arm talent to play in the NFL?
Yeah, he's got 10 less pass touchdowns than Mahomes, but he's also got 10 rushing touchdowns.
And he squats 600 pounds.
Yeah, and the big difference is intercepts. He's very, very low.
He's thrown 3, I think.
Yeah, so which is a crazy number.
Yeah.
And Mahomes... fall under back a little bit with his 3 against Denver, mentioned for the second time.
I'm going to have to change my tune. Earlier on in the year, I was like, I think this Eagles run's going to run out.
12-1 at the moment.
Yeah, I'm officially accepting that the Eagles are a very, very, very good team.
The biggest concern for them is probably injuries on defense because they've lost. Actually, I think Big Jordan is going to be back.
Big Jordan Davis.
Either back this week or next. But they've lost a little bit of help in the safety area, so they've brought Anthony Harris back this week to help shore up their back 4 in the defense. So we'll see.
Just back to the offensive side of the ball. Jalen Hurts, 3,157 pass yards, 22 touchdowns, 3 picks, passer rating at 108. That on top of him being the best running quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Wowie wawa.
Atlanta Falcons taking on New Orleans Saints in the South. Big news. This is probably the biggest story during the week. Mariota got benched. Ridder.
He's not an enemy of the Batman.
Yes, he's not Riddler. Ridder to start. And then it kind of was interesting reports. It looked like Mariota had quit the team. Reports... he hadn't shown up since they made the announcement. He didn't go to training or anything like that. Some reports from his camp that he was unsure if he will return. And then the news today is they've put him on IR because he's got a knee injury. So there was a bit of back and forth in that spot. Maybe they knew more about the injury and Mariota thought, no, I'm only going to be a couple of weeks and whatever else. But, yeah, they've shut him down and handed over to the young fella, the rookie, to take the team over. And Desmond was... Second
quarterback taken after Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, and he was probably a more pro-ready quarterback out of the last year's class. Pickett hasn't been too bad.
No, it hasn't been too bad. It hasn't had a great offensive line trying to protect him.
Yeah, it's the same, and the banged up team, etc. And we'll get to those other guys in a minute. But it was just an interesting story. It kind of whether a bit of skepticism in there at all with how it all played out and him actually ending up in IR. How hurt is he really? But yeah, they've, like I said, turned the team over. They can still win the division. Saints can still win the division. It's very, very...
It's wide open in the NFC South.
Yeah, very wide open. Saints, on the other hand, they continue to start Dalton in respect to the fact they keep losing football games.
But again, I've said it before on the podcast, his numbers aren't that bad.
Yeah, but they've lost their last 2 games.
That is true.
And, both these teams on a 2-game skid really need a win because I think they're... I can't remember exactly. One's a 1 game back, one's 2 game back. With the Panthers, of course, right there in the middle as well, chasing the Bucks, which have the lead with 6 wins in this division.
How about the entire NFC East is like 7-5-1. The Commanders and Giants are the worst in the NFC East.
Well,
the NFC South is dreadful. They're all below 500.
Yeah, they're all above 500, and these guys are all below.
And it's complete opposite of how the league was, say, 2 or 3 years ago, where the NFC East stunk.
Last year.
It stunk, and the NFC South, like the Saints were good, the Bucks were good, the Falcons and Panthers were there or thereabouts.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
And the other, can you look this up for me? The other massive story was Cam Jordan during the week. Fake injuries has been across the entire NFL. Bengals had one as well.
The Red Dog.
The old Red Dog, yes, the classic Red Dog. The league's trying to stamp it out. So Cameron Jordan, I believe, was hit with a $500K fine. $500,000.
Imagine if they bring that into soccer. Fucking everyone will be out for fucking
Neymar, I retire.
Neymar owes FIFA money.
Yeah. So it's a kind of a big thing, and the Saints have come out and said that, there was no fake injuries, etc. How can you say it's fake injuries? But they've hit him with a massive fine.
Yep.
Do you have any numbers?
There's a caveat on it.
So Jordan got fined $50K. The team was fined $350.
Yeah.
Head coach was fined $100, and co-defensive coordinator was fined $50. So total fines.
It was over $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, $500,000 for one bloke.
It's still a fucking lot for one instance of an injury. It was Cam Jordan's fake injury that kind of led to the situation.
Yeah. It's funny that the co-defensive coordinator copped a big one. So that's obviously whose idea it was, you think. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it in the coming weeks because there's been bunches of them. There's been heaps of highlights and people picking it up where a guy goes down for a play just to slow the game down so they can make substitutions, or get to kind of like a free timeout, then goes out for a play and then comes in the next play. So yeah, very much the Red Dog as you suggest. So that'll be an interesting storyline to follow throughout this. Who wins this game? I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Coin flip. Maybe rookie first start will get the job done.
Maybe. So the Saints did issue a statement saying that
It's all bullshit, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, he had an MRI and confirmed that he suffered an acute midfoot sprain in his left foot.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure if you gave me an MRI, you'd find fuckloads of things wrong with me. So
Find it in anyone, actually.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of coverage there. League stamping down on it. Detroit Lions take on the New York Jets, and the Lions have that big wing over the Vikings, as we mentioned before, and could run the table for the rest of the year and make the playoffs.
Are these two of the most improved teams in the NFL?
I think so. I think the Jets have probably
100% they would be.
I think have they lost the last 2? Yeah.
Yeah, they were 7-4.
Yeah. So, and maybe that's some of the teams kind of getting stuck into Mike White. He's been blasted a lot.
True.
Do you see that the biggest clean hit you can get on a quarterback? He actually got lit up, had to go out. I think he left in the third quarter, came back in the fourth, and then had to go again. He's been bagged up. He's got rib injuries. I believe he will play in this one.
So defense is starting to scheme. For
Can you
Mike White
actually
now.
check that for me? When Mike White
Will he
injury
start?
started? Yeah, they do need to right their ship after a 2-game streak, but they do take on those red hot Lions. They did throw. Sewell got that catch for the
Yeah,
conversion.
touchdown. There was a fourth down conversion. That's right.
Throwing the right tackle, and they had Coach Campbell on McAfee during the week, and he was saying, the crowd was doing a big wave. I was looking at the crowd, and I turn around, and what the fuck, we're throwing it to Sewell. I didn't sign off on this play call, but the offensive coordinator did it, and he was wide open. It was a great kind of play, I guess.
Big man with football,
which iced the game for them. They got the win. I'm Lions are finally fun. Like, they've been terrible for decades. So.
Yeah, that offense is fun. Smashing the overs, good for fantasy football. Yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been unreal.
Yeah, Campbell's a good head coach. I'm getting right behind the Detroit Lions football, and maybe they get a win here against the New York Jets.
It does seem like Mike White will start. Zach Wilson promoted to back up. Joe Flacco goes to 3 for the Jets. I got a little gripe. They need to, on the NFL app, they need to have JAMA Williams and JAME Williams for the Lions, because I've got Jamal Williams, and I saw that there was a 41-yard catch, and it was Jameson Williams.
Yes,
and they're literally the first 3 letters are the same as well in their first names. And then I was like, "What the fuck? Jamal Williams got 3 fantasy points. How many fumbles did this guy have?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's Jameson Williams, who is looking very good."
Yes. And I think that was his only catch in that game as well. He's only had about. I think he had 12 in the first game. I think he had 13 snaps in this game.
Yeah, so they're just easing him into it. But next year with Amon-Ra, coming into his 3rd year, and Jameson, with a full kind of year of strength and conditioning behind him after rehabbing that ACL, that'll be a formidable team. They just need to fix out that defense.
Yeah, another interesting point, and they've been doing that, I guess, with Aiden Hutchinson. Like, they've been better on defense recently. They also reaffirmed that Jared Goff is their quarterback of the future. They're not saying he's a bridge quarterback. We're going to get into the draft and draft some guy.
The dude's a number 1 pick. Like, he's got talent.
Yeah, and he's definitely. Yes, I guess he flamed out his relationship with McVay and the Rams, replaced him and then went and won a Super Bowl. But he's still a above average quarterback. He's definitely a lot better than a heap of the guys that get starting jobs in the league. So, I really like what they're doing.
Should be a good game. High-powered offense versus a stout defense there. Pittsburgh and Carolina, this pretty close to toilet bowl.
Yeah, it is. Steelers lost warmly. One of their tight ends with the ACL during the week.
Tight end or defensive end?
Defensive end, sorry, yes. I just love a tight end. And the D...
yeah, you do.
And the D has been a bit leaky of late, dealing with all these injuries.
Yeah, I love a leaky D.
Yeah. Sam Darnold has been starting for the Panthers, and they have won 2 games in a row. Did beat the Seahawks last week.
Yeah,
which is
fuck my multi for my punters club.
And, of course, I mentioned before, they can still win the division. The Panthers could be favourites in this, and I wouldn't surprise me if they are.
I'll chase it up.
I could see the Panthers actually winning this game. After what we thought they were doing a full tank job, trading away all their best players, they can actually still win the division. So maybe they were the smart ones and we were the idiots.
They're $1.64 favourites in this game.
It's crazy.
It speaks volumes to where the NFC South is at the moment.
Yes.
Dallas and Jacksonville. T.Y. Hilton joins the Cowboys. So OBJ, are we thinking maybe not at the Cowboys?
Well, and Cole Beasley was back to the Bills. That was 2 of the locations he visited with last week. We're doing his recruitment visits and tour. And then, of course, the Giants was the 3rd one. So 2 of those teams have gone out and got a replacement wide receiver within a week. I guess Cole Beasley's not a like for OBJ, and they probably still add him. But T.Y. as an outside receiver kind of is.
Yeah, he's old. He's gonna be their threat. Like, he's not better than Michael Gallup.
True, and they just got James Washington back as well. So they've got a pretty full wide receiver core is what I'm getting at. So after that visit, after the leaks about the knee injury, and OBJ actually coming out this week and saying, I don't need to play during the regular season, why would I do that? Maybe the knee's not as good as where we thought it was.
I think also during the week, OBJ said in a tweet or some sort of post that he and Saquon had unfinished business.
Yeah.
So that potentially hints Giants.
Yeah, well, they're the only one that didn't add a wide receiver during the week.
Yeah, I'm just reading here, though, both Jerry Jones and Brandon Bean, GM for the Bills, have both said that they're still interested in OBJ. So at least alluding to the fact that there's still a market.
Yeah, it kind of says to me like, hey, we've got a wide receiver now. Like, we've got a wide receiver need now. Let's fill it.
Yeah.
And we'll still look at OBJ come that playoff run, potentially. So, yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see how that goes. So the Cowboys take on Jacksonville. The Jaguars, they beat up the Titans during the week, which is quite interesting. I think since week 9, Lawrence statistically has been the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I was looking at that during the week.
Yeah.
He's really looking like that prospect that we expected, and maybe just needed that sophomore year to really hit his straps in the NFL. I can give you some Trevor Lawrence numbers on the season at least.
Plus the extra... I guess wide receiver talent as well. Evan Ingram kind of been back from injury.
Oh, he had a game, didn't he?
Yeah, fit straight back in. So they look really good, and they're still in the hunt in their division as well.
Yeah.
So
20-6 is his touchdown to intercept ratio. 95 as a passer rating. Over 3,000 yards. Football Jesus is starting to look like actual Jesus,
and adds a little bit with his legs, but he's really starting up. And the question is, he rolls into that Cowboys defense. Can the Jags do a job here against Dallas?
No. It's been a crazy year in terms of upsets, but I think the Cowboys are the real fucking deal.
I agree.
We talk about that two-headed beast in the backfield with Pollard and Zeke, the best running back room in football now. And Dak hasn't had to throw the ball. He's just had to hand off, game manage, not take hits, and their defense is sneaky good now as well. So I think the Cowboys continue to roll here, but the Jags have definitely been improved, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think this will be...
Upset alert?
I'm going to say I think it's going to be a tougher challenge for the Cowboys than many might think, because Jacksonville are really good.
Duval!
So I think the Jags could potentially challenge them maybe with some points. If they score early, they're going to maybe put some pressure back on Dak to score. I do agree with you. I think with where Dallas are as a team, they're thinking Super Bowls, and if they're going to win a Super Bowl, they should do
like this.
Yeah, they should do Jacksonville. But as the young upstarts the Jacksonville Jaguars are at the moment, I think they will challenge and be surprisingly good in this football game, is the way I see this one playing out.
Mate, the way that the NFL's played out this year, you may as well just flip coins on every game and probably do better than trying to analyse.
Yes, agree. So hopefully going into the next one, that isn't the case. We have Kansas City taking on Houston.
I'm very interested in the line in this game. 14.5. I'm taking minus 14.5 all day, every day for the Chiefs. Should be 35-0 at the half.
Yeah. Well, it's $1.10 to $7 there.
Mind you, the Cowboys ran into the Texans last week, and we were saying smash the overs, and they won, but they didn't pump them.
Not convincingly, and they needed a 98-yard drive after a fumble on their own goal line to get the win there. So, Houston, let's cover Houston first. They're doing a bit of an interesting thing. They're rotating their quarterbacks 50-50, so each one gets a series.
It's like preseason shit.
I don't know. Yeah, so they
can't even get into a rhythm.
So Mills is doing a series, then Driscoll comes in, and then sort of different quarterbacks as well. Jeff was actually running the ball a bit more, but yeah, they had 100% a 50-50 split in the last games against the Cowboys, and it's an interesting idea. I just don't see it working long
But the proof's in the pudding. Like they played well against Dallas last week.
Yeah, it'd make it hard for the defense to sort of get settled into a rhythm, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is they're struggling for wide receiver help at the moment with a bunch of guys being injured. I think they get both Collins. I'm not sure about Cooks. They get a few guys back this week. They've only won one game, I think is the caveat. And they roll into Kansas City team who probably are the top in the AFC. Mahomes, as mentioned, moved down an MVP voting after throwing a bunch of picks. That Denver game I thought was actually quite interesting, more for Kansas City's playoff hopes, because I'm a little bit worried about the quality of talent at the wide receiver position, especially when you get deep in the playoffs and you're playing good teams with good defenses. Because against Denver, they really eliminated a lot of their outside options and then kind of forced Mahomes to try and force passes to Kels. And that's 2 of his intercepts came from Jersey Jewell picking off passes trying to go to Travis Kelce. So I kind of was like, oh, that's maybe an interesting take come playoff time of maybe they don't have an elite talent that can separate on a regular basis to help out Mahomes like, say, a Tyreek Hill was. They've got I don't want to say they've got a bunch of Jags, a bunch of just another guys, but they've got a few that are in there that have names elsewhere that really just are having decent seasons, but again, aren't those elite talents that we're talking about elsewhere.
I see where you're coming from, and Mahomes did throw 3 picks. And maybe credit to the Denver defense, the only good thing that's happened in Denver this year.
Yeah.
But Mahomes has just got that next level talent. Did you see that touchdown that he threw where he's running out to the right, he fends someone and then does the whoop pass to Jerick McKinnon and McKinnon houses it.
Yes.
Like when Mahomes is doing shit like that, I agree. They are missing Tyreek Hill and, he's shown what he can do over at the Dolphins.
What was very interesting in that game, and that's a great example because that was the last points they scored until late in the second half, is once Denver forced Mahomes to stay into the pocket and throw passes, they were doing 3 and outs. They were really struggling. So again, to my point of keep Mahomes in there, forcing him to pass, and then cover his outside guys really well. He's just like, well, I got to, I'm throwing it up to Kels to try and get conversions, and that's kind of played really well into Denver's scheme. So I can see a bit of a blueprint with good defensive teams come playoff times could potentially try to get wins over Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So caveat, we'll see what that looks like in a couple of weeks' time. But it's
a great point.
It was interesting to take the out of that Denver game, and that really much got Denver back into that game to the point where Wilson got hurt and got concussed, which is probably a segue in the next game because I guess we're saying Kansas City's going to win this game easy.
Yeah, I'm taking that line.
So Arizona Cards take on Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson did have that big concussion. I haven't heard anything. He's not like Huntley, who's trained today and is still in the protocols. I've heard nothing about how he's progressed. They're saying all the good things. He's looking good, etc. I feel like this is probably going to be a Brett Rippon versus Colt McCoy game because the other massive news during the week was Kyler Murray, blown ACL, non-contact injury, season done for him. So
horrible injury. You saw him go down, trying to run and cut and decelerate at the same time, and
then push off the leg. And then
classic ACL mechanism. No one within cooey of him gets absolutely sniped, and it's horrible whenever you see someone do an ACL, let alone a talent like Kyler Murray. Arizona had been struggling up until that point, and you can well and truly put a line through their season now without Kyler.
Oh, exactly. I think they've only had 4 wins this year, so this probably a bit of a doo-doo game, especially with 2 backup quarterbacks. Actually, that'll probably make the game more interesting, or they have a bit more free throwing. Overall, it's not going to be a great one in this one. It was interesting, the last point there, when Wilson went out, we had a single player left on Denver's depth chart that started week 1. So
really?
And that was Judy, had already been injured this year. So,
wow.
So you know how I was talking about those guards that played all year?
Is that on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, on the offense, yes.
Yeah.
So down to 1 starter. And we added Jacob Martin to IR today, so I think we've got 18 players on IR. I looked at our depth chart today and I was like, holy shit, like it's covered in IR and out and injured.
Just red everywhere.
Yeah, I was just like, it's been a rough year for Denver. It kind of eludes. But this game, and I think
they win this game. I think on the back of that defense going up against Colt McCoy, who hasn't been bad when he has played this year, but Arizona's struggling and Denver's defense is good. I think they win.
Yeah, and that game against Kansas City kind of showed what they could potentially do when they get into gear a little bit. So, that was the best game Russell played all year, threw 3 touchdowns, and they threw 4 touchdowns in total in that game with Judy getting a hat trick. So, on to next year. We'll have to see what happens.
They start as favourites at $1.70.
Don't scare me like that.
New England and Las Vegas. New England is still well and truly alive there. The whole AFC West. AFC East, is above 500 as well. Yep. So both the NFC and AFC East, every team above 500.
It's good in the East. For the Patriots, Mac Jones, you can still see him complaining about play calling, but they are still winning. And like you said, they're still in the hunt. Interesting from their last game last week with Devontae Parker gets concussion, and then it's Nelson Algalor, his receiving teammate, who's they're lining up to run a play, and he's like throwing his hands up like we've got to stop the game. He's got a concussion.
Right.
So, and that's what stopped the refs, and they stopped him. And they took Parker out of the game based on him. So, great job, I guess, by the teammate to protect the teammate and get him out if he's definitely hurt. And I don't think he played the rest of the game. He was ruled out because of the concussion. But the league's not real happy about the whole situation because looking back at the visuals of the video of the hit, the situation, him getting up, like it was pretty clear they probably should have stopped the game and got him out. And the refs, the reffing crew missed it completely. So they're going to look into that situation. They're going to review everything as they do. But how strict they've been on concussions, it was an interesting one, and it was a bit of a bad look that a fellow player had to
be the one that noticed it.
Yeah, call the game off to get him off the field. So, yeah, interesting one there. The Raiders, on the other hand, just keep blowing leads.
Yeah. 5 and 8. Going to be tough for them with the Chargers 2 games ahead.
Yeah. And with the way, say, the East isn't like to get a wild card's very hard in both divisions, both conferences, at the moment. So, I don't like their chances. Only final point, it's homecoming for McDaniels, going back to New England. See if he can get one over the master in Bill Belichick. I
think the apprentice might get the master here. The Raiders, like you said, have blown a lot of leads. Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs are having... Well, Jacobs is having the best game.
Do you know what they're going to do in this game, Peps? They're going to blow another lead and New England's going to win. That's my feeling on this.
It's going to be interesting. And speaking of Bill Belichick going up against elite receivers, they beat the Cards last week. I think I sent it in the group.
The Hopkins.
Nuke Hopkins has never scored a touchdown against Bill Belichick. Played 9 games against him.
Yep.
So definitely knows how to game plan for elite wide receivers. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to try and shut down Devontae Adams, who's been a touchdown machine this year.
Tennessee Titans take on Los Angeles Chargers in the next one, and the Chargers finally look like a dominant team with all their wide receivers back. Really did a good competitive football game against the Dolphins last week. Mike Williams looks excellent, get back, and Eckler, now that he's got guys clearing out spaces for him, is having an absolute feast, and he's on a great year, had a great year, great run. Hasn't got the Pro Bowl votes yet, so
how?
I don't know. But he's... obviously, Chargers just don't get that mass media attention that they probably should. Eckler needs to probably be up there because he's had an elite run.
It's funny you mentioned the receivers. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, they're so different, but they complement each other so well.
Exactly.
Keenan Allen, that volume, I think he had 12 catches for 90 yards or something.
He can make a ridiculous catch as well.
Exactly. And then Mike Williams, your deep threat, scores touchdowns.
Goes over the top.
Over the top,
red zone threat, so.
Eckler not being in the Pro Bowl is a travesty. If you redrafted today for fantasy...
Well, he's number 1.
He's one, So. He should be a consensus number 1.
Yeah. So, it's a bit rough there. They do get a struggling Titans team who struggle to keep up pace with high-scoring teams because really they're relying on the King. And if, the King's probably not going to score you 40 points regularly. Like, you got to get him in the end zone to be able to do that. Like, he's going to get you in the red zone, but to get him all the way up and down the field consistently is pretty tough to do. You need wide receivers for big chunk plays to stay in those sort of games. So, for that reason, that's probably why they lose the Chargers here. And I feel like, Chargers are very similar sort of team to the way the Lions play. So I think the Tennessee Titans season could be at risk here. Burke's likely out again with the concussion, hasn't trained all week. Only really got Woods as a receiving option.
Who hasn't done a lot, really.
Yeah. Exactly, because he's been triple covered the entire time because they know... That's their game plan. You put 8 in the box and you have the rest of the other 3 covering Woods and you're sorted. So, I don't like the Titans' chances in this one.
I'm going to have a little bit more faith. I think the Chargers probably start favourites here. I'm just going to chase up the Titans' run home because they still have a 2-game lead over the Jags. And then they play Texans, Cowboys, Jags. I think the Titans still play playoffs this year.
Well,
Cowboys hard game in there, but that's
and well, they have to play Jacksonville as well, which might be
that'll be that might be the big one, yeah. And they have lost 3 on the trot.
Yeah, exactly. So drop a game to the Chargers, probably beat Texans,
Probably.
drop a game to the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and if the Jags can win some in that,
That'll be a big Week 18
close the
matchup.
gap. Yeah,
And it's
massive
in
matchup.
Duval.
Yes. Yeah, well, every game matters. So I think they're going to have to win pretty well.
The best thing about following the NFL, being an NFL fan, is there's not any sort of any game that's we'd like to talk shit and say toilet bowls and this and that, but every game counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just looking at the Jags run home as well.
Also play the Cowboys.
Also play the Cowboys, but then play Jets
In
Texans
New York.
In New York.
So Jets,
Texans, and Titans.
Titans. Yeah.
Their season could be over before Week 18.
Yeah. Generally, you say 10 wins. You got to get to your 10 wins. So, for the Titans, they got to win 3 of the last 4 to cement, guarantee you kind of a spot there. It's a nice kind of
Not if you're Tampa Bay.
measure. Not if you're Tampa Bay. If you get 7 wins, you'll probably be sorted. So, but if you're not in that shit division and you're trying to get a wild card, that's usually around that 10 win mark, get you into the playoffs. What are we up to? Cincinnati.
Tampa Bay. Speaking
Tampa
of,
Bay.
Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals take on the Tampa Bay. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins both were banged up and injured in the game last week, which led to Chase putting up ridiculous numbers, carrying the load for the Bengals there. I have a feeling both are okay and will play in this one.
I'm hoping so. They're the 2 receivers in my fantasy team.
Or it speaks volumes to your fantasy team.
better than that.
I don't know how it wound up with 2 Cincinnati wide receivers and not one of them's Chase.
So on the Tampa Bay side, we talked about they're getting hammered by the 49ers. That's key this week, kept in the news this week, the rumours of T. Brady wanting to leave and go elsewhere in free agency. Again, the rumours to New England. So those rumours continue, especially with the Bucks struggling, potentially not going to be challenging for Super Bowls anytime soon. They are struggling. They need victories to stay in the head in the South. I just don't see it against the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't think so
Bengals
either.
are too good.
9-6 Bengals been looking good. Joey Burrow's been excellent. Especially if those receivers are good to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything from the Bucks fan on the end?
Yeah, no, just until the Bucks can actually get a good game, running game going, it's going to be hard for them to win anything at the moment. I joked before, but they'd be lucky to get into playoffs, I'd say.
Yeah, well, they're lucky they're in such a shit division. That's probably where
Yeah.
the others aren't doing themselves any favors. They're losing lots of games as well. So Panthers are probably the one they got to worry about the most. At the moment. They're the hot team in that division. Everyone else is on losing streaks. So, yeah. New York Giants and Washington to go back to the division that wins lots of football games. The Giants, though, are they a 3-game skid? Or 2
At
games
least 2. I'll double
You
chase.
double check that for me. They do take on Washington, the Commanders. The Commanders are coming off their bye. Chase Young may be back. Rumors continue about Bezos being the favourite to buy the team, and
They could go from one dickhead to another.
yeah. Well, it sounds like they're actually struggling for potential buyers because everyone thinks Bezos is just going to buy it. So it's like, why would we even put in a bid if we know we're not going to compete?
Never tried.
Yeah, exactly. The interesting point here is the Giants haven't won a game in the division yet, which if they do make the playoffs, I think would be a first for a team that hasn't won a divisional game to make it, which would be wild. Do take on Washington here, who have been good, and I don't like their chances. I think Washington will get the win here.
They're on a 3-game slide with a tie to Washington.
That's right.
They played Washington 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
That's so weird.
And which was interesting for Washington, they haven't played anyone. They
Yeah,
played Giants by Giants.
that's scheduling error there, surely.
Well, they obviously knew the first game was going to be a tie, so they have to run it straight back.
The NFL's rigged, man. An industry of 10,000 plus people are all in on this conspiracy, and it's rigged.
Oh, well, there's 32 billionaires running it, so
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I agree. Commanders, I think, getting right at the right time. Their defense has been really good the last few weeks. Scary Terry's been excellent.
Yeah, I think the big difference from their last game is Saquon's been a little bit banged up. He didn't play a lot against the Eagles. I don't think he played at all, actually.
And I'm having one of these as well. We always talk about Taylor Heineken Zeros. Let's go.
Heineke has been doing very well for them, and Wentz has been regulated to the backup job going forward.
Anything to add?
No, not really. Few injuries still lingering for Commanders, but yeah, nothing to worry about, I suppose.
Monday Night Football, the defending Super Bowl champions go to play against the defending MVP, and it's luckily or unlucky for fans, I suppose, of these teams. It's not 2021, it's 2022. Both these teams, at the start of the year, people had high expectations, and both have really fizzled.
Yeah,
Definitely. And I don't think it's Wolford. Whoever the quarterback is for the Rams, he's out, and Baker will be the starter.
You can't not play Baker after that ridiculous game-winning drive last week.
Interesting, it'll be his third team to start for in 12 months.
Yep. Browns, Panthers, Rams.
Yes. And I guess for the Packers, not a huge amount of news coming off the bye. They got Dobbs back for the Pack.
You got that right. Because it's spelt like doob, like smoking a doob.
Dobbs.
But yeah, it's pronounced Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah. Interesting game.
Christian Watson been hot.
Yes. Can the Packers beat the Rams after the kind of dreadful way they've been playing? I think they can. The Rams are hurt, banged up, and missing all their stars. So at home, they should be okay. Baker, can he pull out some magic? I just don't see it. And that's, I think I'll go Packers, but you don't care. You're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. How about them boys, huh? This is essentially the season's gone. There are situations where Packers win out and could play playoffs, but I think they can get the job done. It's a wounded lamb rather than a big horned, big balled ram of last year.
Yeah, well, I think Aaron Rodgers' job's kind of on the line. He has to keep winning to keep playing. Otherwise,
what do you do here?
They lose their out in Jordan Love. I think you just got to play him to see what you got in him.
But it's not his job per se because he's still got that big contract for next year. That you think they might try to trade him,
or he might retire. There's also that conversation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
got a lot of shtick as well. Last year surrounding COVID vaccines and the rest of it. Maybe you just want to lay low somewhere for a little bit.
Yeah. And considering, I think you're still playing it to potentially win Super Bowls, and if you're winning 5 games so far this year, that's not really what you're in it for.
Interesting. Watch this space, I suppose.
Yeah, agree. We'll see what happens after the Rams game. And that's it. Everyone's playing. No more buys for the rest of the year. That's buys done. A lot of heavy divisional battles coming up, and we getting close to teams cementing themselves in the playoffs.
It's the most wonderful time of
Eagles are the only ones that are clinched, I think, from memory, officially. Cool.
That'll do us for the NFL. Let's talk some hoops.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up, bang!
Who was this? You with a note here?
Yes, I just added it in at the start. Of course. So I suppose looking at the news before we actually get into the games for the week. So the NBA and NBPA, the Players Association, that is, has extended the deadline for the opt-out to the current CBA deal. So I think they extended it out to next year, February next year. Essentially they're still working on a deal for the new agreement. The current agreement ends at the end of 30 June next year. Sorry. So
do you know when that opt-out clause was meant to be? Because it sounds to me like the opt-out was probably during the middle of the season, and they're like, we don't want players opting out, and then we have a league stoppage essentially. Yeah,
so I think it was supposed to be in December, I think, and then they've moved it out to February.
Next year. I guess that makes sense. Well, what's February? How would they still be playing though?
What are you talking about? The NBA?
The NBA. When does the NBA finish up?
June.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to work out the semantics of the opt-out moving because it doesn't really buy them too much. They can still opt out in February.
Yeah.
And then you could still have a league stoppage leading into the finals. Yeah. Anyway, I guess it's just
I suppose they're assuming that won't happen. They'll probably
maybe it's a good faith thing. Is like, hey, let's move the opt out, so you can't do it now, but let's go to the table and start negotiating on this deal so we get it in place before June 30 hits.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Watch your space. The last lockout was back in 2011. Not over the details of that one, but yeah, hopefully they can work to some agreement and there is some basketball, at least for next season.
That would suck. Surely they get it worked out.
You'd hope
some
so.
stage.
You'd hope so, yeah.
Yeah. Lockouts haven't been great across the major sports in America.
No.
There's been a few of them.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I suppose getting to...
It did have a great movie, though, the Replacements. So.
Keanu Reeves, my fantasy team on the weekend. Hey! What are you doing there? The dude's eating eggs. I'm bulking up for the game, coach. Spews on the field. Good movie. Check it out, Keanu Reeves.
Let's talk some basketball.
Not a great actor, but a great person.
He's not too bad.
Yeah.
His range is probably what you talk about.
Look, The Matrix is one of the best movies of all time. Don't get me wrong. But, it's not due to his acting ability.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted. All right, let's talk about the East. The Celtics keep rolling. They're 22-7. Still awaiting big Robert Williams III's return. I suppose no need to rush him back into the team when Horford and Grant Williams are doing a job there. What are you giggling?
I just remember the joke that I didn't make last week about, is that the singer or the comedian? And then I was just like, you're an idiot.
Robbie and Robin. One's dead.
Yes, I know. That's why I didn't say last week.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm just tickling myself down here. So you know I love that.
Yeah.
Tickling yourself.
I like tickling myself listening to Robbie Williams. That was the best thing about the AFL Grand Final this year. The tickling, of course.
No, I love Delta.
Oh, Delta. That'll tickle your pickle. All right, let's try and get a bit serious here. Jason Tatum continues to put his case forward to be the MVP of the league, putting up 44.
Foamed into the first spot?
Well, we looked last week and it was pretty much dead heat. With
I'll let Jimmy chase that.
Yeah, exactly. But the Bucks are still there in second, and it's a two-horse race. I think now in the East, the Cavs are it's early in the year, but I just don't see the Cavs usurping either of these teams. Yeah, they feel middle of the pack, but I suppose on paper they're only a couple games behind.
Yeah.
Bucks 8-2 in their last 10. Chris Middleton back. They sort of eased his minutes initially, but now he's just playing his normal sort of 30 to 35 minutes. They had a classic against Luka. Luka did his best, but they got the job done by a point last weekend. Then, we talk about that middle of the pack. I think the Cavs, Nets, 76ers all probably go into that conversation. And we probably need to start talking about the New York Knickerbockers. They're on a 5-game win streak. They had that OT win over the Bulls, of you wearing a shirt famed for the Chicago Bulls. Jalen Brunson's been pretty good. He had 7 in overtime. He's averaging 20 a game, really helping out big Julius Randle. RJ Barrett as well, starting to develop as one of the better guards in the NBA. We did see 2 years ago the Knicks sort of playing above expectations, and then last year were pretty doo-doo. So maybe going in the right direction. And then the Pacers right on 500. Let's talk about the Heat. We've got the jersey up there for Jimmy Butler. He's played about half the year or just over. He seems to be week by week with knee tenderness. Obviously, the NBA very cards to their chest when it comes to injuries. So pretty hard to ascertain what's actually going on with him. Tyler Zero as well. Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year. He hasn't been playing his full minutes. They feel like they should be better than 8th. I think come May, end of the year, end of the season at least, I think they will be better than 8th, but definitely a sluggish start there for the Miami Heat. Good luck getting any kind of did you have actual diagnosis there for his knee.
Did you have Jimmy Bucket's age up on the screen before? Was he 27? Did I see that right?
I thought he was older than that.
I did too, but then he had it up, the NBA thing in a minute. I'm sure I had a 7. And I didn't think 37 made sense. So how old is he?
I also think with your eyes, who knows?
Yeah, from this
I
distance.
don't know what you're looking at. He's 33.
Yeah.
33 there.
6'7"? Were you looking at that?
Ooh, maybe that was it. It was height, not age. Need the spectacles for this.
I was like, 27, fuck. It's a bit of-
Yeah, I was like,
Playing
no,
since 15.
that is way too young. So, an aging star, but not like a very old.
He's still in his prime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's very, very... I'm not going to say carried them. Like, they're pretty good.
He carried them last year, dude. He 100% carried them deep in that playoff. So he played really well.
I was about to go like Max Struz was hitting his strides, like Bam Adebayo's like a top 8 centre in the league. Like,
Look at where they are now, just at under 500, and you can kind of see the difference.
then goes Hawks, Raptors, Bulls. I think all those teams might be interested in this trade window. The trade deadline is February 10, so got about 8 weeks, just under 8 weeks for trades to be made. So watch a bit of December madness and January madness with teams trying to trade. An interesting team here when it comes to talking trades. They've been real bad of late. Is the Washington Wizards? They're 1-9. Kristaps Porzingis probably playing the best basketball of his life. There's 2 ways they go about it. Do we go after someone to help big Kristaps out and try and start again?
Well, I think they were talking about moving him.
It's been
a little bit
ongoing
longer.
sort of rumours around Kristaps. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Is the internet running? Or
It is.
Keep talking.
It's up and down.
Shoe in for Rookie of the Year. They have got a good one here in Paolo Banchero. He is leading the team with 21.8 points per game, 7 rebounds, which is second on the team. And then depending on, starters and minutes, his 3.8 assists is pretty close to team leading there. So they've done a good job drafting him. Pistons, you feel for him. You feel for the people of Detroit. Lucky that Lions team's starting to play good football. They have lost their number 1 draft pick from 2 years ago in Cade Cunningham for the year. I think that stress fracture was what kept him from starting the start of last season. So he played 64 games last year. So I think he missed the first sort of 18 or so. And yeah, that stress fracture's back. He needs to have surgery on that. So he's on ice for the year, and they will be tanking for Wembanyama. That is for sure, as will the last place Hornets there in the East. Let's go over to the West, and the New Orleans Pelicans are playing unbelievable basketball. We spoke about them and their 2-game series against the Phoenix Suns going to be a bit of a litmus test for them, and they won both of those games. Did you guys see the big 360 windmill dunk that Zion did? Yes. And the Suns bench was not happy about it. I don't see what's wrong with a little bit of showboating. He probably said something, I'm going to imagine.
I think it came out there's a bit of an unwritten law, like in an end of the game like that, you just don't go over the top. You're winning, like. So that's why Chris Paul, that's
what I've done on 2K for years.
But I think it was good because it added a little bit of spice between that kind of rivalry there a little bit, and especially with the Pels playing really well at the moment. At the top of there, and pushing the Suns down. They kind of new young blood coming through, and they're playing real good basketball. It's like, why not get around them?
And Brandon Ingram hasn't even been playing a whole lot. So when he comes back, they're going to be a force to reckon with as well. They did lose to the Jazz today, caveat. So that streak has come to an end, but they're shit hot. The Grizzlies are on a 6-game heater at the moment. They're sitting in second. My bold prediction at the start of the year was Ja Morant for MVP. That's looking more and more unlikely, but he is very, very good at basketball.
They're just struggling.
Portland Trailblazers. Phoenix dropped down to 5th. Clippers, Kings, Jazz. So the Dubs are sitting in 10th. The Lakers are 12th. The historically good San Antonio Spurs are dead last. Imagine showing someone a few years ago this Western Conference that they would feel like Marty McBride in Back to the Future, and there's hoverboards and shit going around. Where's my hoverboard? That was like 6 years ago. That the first Back to the Future movie.
It was meant to have happened.
It was meant to have happened like 6 years ago. There you go. Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers also in that. Don't know how we got there. Flea, Los Angeles Lakers, big Lakers fan. Thoughts? Yeah. They're 11 and 16. They are technically only 5 games out of 8th, and they're only a bee's dick out of play-in. AD, again, we spoke about him last week. He's been really good, but LeBron seems like changing of the guard time for the Lakers.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Warriors, I wouldn't be too concerned there. A game below 500. They're probably starting to think, can we get home court advantage, or do we just sort of try to, finish it at 6th or 7th in the West and try and go upset sort of Denver or Portland or Memphis or something on the road?
Yeah. Big one for them though today. I think it was today. Curry exited the game against the Pacers with a shoulder injury.
So awaiting scans.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So Clay was also out for this game. Wiggins was sitting out as well with a bit of an injury.
Yeah.
I suppose, depending on how long Curry's out for, may determine their season, you'd think.
Yeah. Yep.
It's still coming up. It's up and down. It's still working.
Still working?
Right.
We're still here?
Sort of.
Talking to no one? Talking to no one with you down.
Talking to each other.
All right. I think that'll do us for the NBA. It's going to be interesting to see the trades. And look, we're only 2 weeks away from the best day in the year, Boxing Day, Christmas Day over there, Boxing Day test, and all the NBA
All the
action.
basketball.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think we get 3. Do we get 3? No, we get an NFL game, which is going to be Rams Denver. So
Elite viewing that.
yes.
Fuck. Boxing Day. We're so close.
Yeah.
All right, that's time for the On The Esky final round. A contentious UFC 282 has just transpired. A lot has been said about the judging in this one, and the anti-climactic in the lead up anyway, because we were meant to have defending champion Yuri Prochazka running it back against Glover Teixeira. Prochazka had to vacate the light heavyweight throne because his shoulder is minced meat. And then Teixeira didn't want the Ankalev or Blachowicz fight. It's going to be interesting to see what he does as a 42-year-old. Alas, we get left with 3rd Jan Blachowicz taking on 4th Magomed Ankalaev for the interim light heavyweight title of the world. And it was a drawn 5-round fight that went the distance.
Yes.
Thoughts on this one?
I think it probably fair for it was an odd judge's result being a split draw. Thinking about it, Jan in my mind definitely won 2 and 3, and then was out wrestled and beaten up for 4 and 5. So that's 2 apiece. The first was probably. As a feeling out round, it's kind of hard to give one guy over the other, but maybe give him Jan because he dominated with leg kicks and basically made it impossible for his opponent to walk. But then even if he won the first 3 rounds, maybe one of those 4th and 5th rounds, you could have ruled a 10-8, which would, of course, give you this draw. So I could see the reasoning for the way this played out and the results for the judge's decision. It was a bit of an interesting one, but some thought because of how dominant in the championship rounds he was that he probably deserved the belt, and that's what Jan said in the post fight that he did. And he was just like, I'm not going to fight for the UFC ever again kind of thing, because he's like, this is Travis, a bit dirty on the fact that he didn't get it. Time will tell. Time will see.
I'd be dirty too. Like, the reason why there's 5 rounds, you should be able to get a winner in this one. All 3 judges scored it differently. As well. So it's not like 2 guys and then one guy, fucked it all. It was all of them scored it completely differently. I thought Blachowicz fought a smart fight, kept his distance. We spoke about him being the better striker. You don't want to get into wrestling matches with Dagestanis. That is for certain. Monks, you got a few stats there. Anything sort of jump out from you from the stats?
Look at the leg kicks.
Well, just the sheer fact that, the first thing that comes up is they haven't got any sort of stats in terms of like ground control or anything like that. So leads to how the UFC sort of favours striking. But then looking at the striking, Magomed outstruck Jan.
79 to 58.
Yep.
6 strikes.
Um,
You got to talk.
79 to 58.
79 to 58 significant strikes. Is that what you've got? 79 to 55?
Yes, 55. Sorry, I was looking at the total strikes at the top there.
I said significant.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. But still, yeah, he was very much more active than Jan. Like how they can sort of Oh, well, this is a split. Sorry, just a draw.
You need a bit of caffeine.
I don't know what I need tonight. I'm well off.
Do you need a beer?
Maybe.
I thought you were having a stroke then.
Look, no. Just give me a second. No, but like I saw that Jan was like, I definitely didn't win the fight, but I didn't. Sorry, what did he say? He said I didn't win the fight, but I definitely didn't lose it. So he was obviously confident enough that he did enough to at least get the draw. But yeah, very, very odd decisions.
Indeed. Yeah. Sean, what's the news around Glover and Jamal Hill? Has that been announced? That's official for 283?
Official, and Hill was saying he got the call while the other guys were still in the cage that he would be fighting for the interim title fight against Glover at UFC 283. Which was interesting was he was booked for Anthony Smith, and Anthony Smith was on the commentary. And that's when he found out that he just lost his opponent as well. So he was a bit pissed off about that. But I think he's come out during the week and said he's going to go help Hill with the training camp to get ready for Glover. So we'll see how that plays out. That's UFC 282, which is on the 22nd.
283.
283, sorry. Which is on the 22nd, which is where I got my twos from, of January.
For us, 21st for them, 22 for 2 for us. 22 of the first, actually, but anyways, it really works. All right, boys, probably the bigger talking point of the night was Paddy the Baddie and his somewhat contentious win over Jared Gordon via unanimous decision, 29 to 28 for Paddy, although they scored the rounds differently this time. So one of the judges had Paddy losing the first round and winning the second two. Which fight he watched, I'm not sure. Maybe he filled his card in back because the other two had Paddy winning the first 2 rounds and Jared the last one. Thoughts?
I think a bit of a robbery in this one. It's a bit of a joke. Anyone that's seen it and anyone that's kind of watched it, everything I've seen, it's a bit hard to say robberies in UFC, but that was 100% a robbery. In my mind, Gordon won the first. The second was debatable. In my personal opinion, I thought Gordon potentially won that one as well. For me, you definitely won the first. And then in the third round, nothing happened in that round.
Yeah.
But it was 4 minutes of ground control to Gordon and 1 minute to Paddy. And that was it. That was all that happened in that round.
Yep.
So if that's your only deciding factor, you probably give it to Gordon.
It has to be Gordon.
As that. Yeah. So, I think Gordon's probably should be dirty about this. Some of the footage from it, Rogan's reaction was like, well, that's, that's a bit of a surprise. Dana's reaction was like, yep. And his last questions was like, are they keeping the favourite child keep going?
What was Cejudo's comments regarding O'Malley and Paddy?
Sean O'Malley wanted to fight with Cejudo or Sterling Winner, and he said maybe you should fight Paddy. So the judges don't know who to rob.
The two love children, the chosen ones.
Yeah, the chosen ones. So it'll be interesting. What it did definitely certify is Paddy's not ready for the top of the lightweight division. Yeah,
that led me to my next question. Who can he beat in ranked fighters? I think he could get past Ferguson or Hooker maybe.
I think Gordon kind of showed just how much progress that Paddy needs to make in his stand-up. Everyone was talking about the Rogan and that. They're all talking about how high he stands with his chin and he ate so many left hooks knocked out or anything. But you're running into Justin Gagey, Dustin Poirier, or Michael Chandler. You're getting put to sleep.
Even Fiziev, RDA, nope.
Yeah. The top of that lightweight division will just eat him up for breakfast.
Dariush would kill him, at this stage.
So anyone chatting about his potential future champion. It was like, yeah, he could be, but it's still
yeah.
distance away. He's got to do some work.
Let's see him fight Hooker or Grant Dawson, who's newly entered into there at 14, taking a bloke you might have heard of, Conor McGregor's spot.
Yes.
Conor McGregor unranked in the UFC.
For the first time in a very long time.
He's out on fucking yacht. That was not my best, Conor.
Did you say yote this time?
A yacht.
He's on a fucking yote.
It's stuck in fucking mud. Stuck in mud. That was better. Conor, have we heard anything? He hasn't fought for ages since breaking that fibula.
I think it's just Michael Chandler in the summer sometime.
Okay.
So early next year.
Yeah, June, July next year.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Paddy lucky to come away with the decision. Judging is getting to be pretty laughable in the UFC. I listened to Michael Bisping's take on it. He didn't think it was a robbery. He's in English. He did say, well, I'd scored it to Jared Gordon. And the old kind of significant strikes versus damage and time and control, that argument has to come up again. Which way do you preface it? It's one of those things in fighting. We're talking sort of jokingly about the NFL being rigged, which obviously it is not. Pretty easy to rig things like this.
Yes, especially judging. Three judge system. Which follows the traditional boxing. And it's not to say that they can't do anything different. Maybe up at 5 judges.
They need to do something different, though, don't they?
And
because boxing's 12 rounds, and you're looking at 3 rounds here. You can't take something from boxing and then apply it to something that goes for 3 rounds.
The biggest thing is a lot of those judges are, appointed by the commission. They don't really have a background in mixed martial arts.
Yeah,
that's Rogan's big thing on it for a very long time. Is like, do they even know what they're watching? Do you know what they're looking at?
Yeah, you'd want like black belts in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck I'm watching.
Retired fighters,
you need someone that's trained like in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Just quick run through the rest of the card. Old cauliflower is Santiago Ponzinibbio got the job done against Alex Moreno at that catch weight, and then sort of another big earmarked fighter for the English market in Darren Till. He goes down to Dricus du Plessis. He got his back and submitted him via a face crank. I said he should shoot up the rankings. The rankings came out today, and he did. He's up to 10, and Darren Till drops all the way down to 15 there. So not a good night there for English fans with Darren Till. Featherweight, Ilya Tupuria beats Bryce Mitchell, and they do a bit of a swap there in the featherweight division. Ilya goes up to 9, and Mitchell goes down to 11. And then some of the best fights were on the undercard. You saw the Chizinho Rosenstrike finish on Chris Daukaus.
30 seconds.
Big boy.
Big boys. It's kind of where the heavyweight division is at the moment.
Slug.
It's just...
could you imagine someone like that coming out?
Yeah, exactly. That's
I would turn and run. I would cry.
Yeah. It's the big power game.
I would say, give me your wallet, whatever. It's all yours, man.
Yeah.
It's
just
all
take
yours.
it.
Exactly. So scary.
Yeah, and it's kind of just where like I say, where that division is at the moment. It's all big power games. Who's got the biggest bazookas, throw the biggest bombs. So it'll be interesting then to see what John Jones does in coming into that division. As you're probably not a guy traditionally like that. To throw big bombs to take on, say, Ngannou in the new year.
That's so juicy.
Yeah, definitely.
He's had so long off. So long since he last fought.
Yeah.
Was it like UFC 220 something? Jones fought?
Oh, John Jones? Yeah, it's been ages. He hasn't been around in a hot minute. 2 years. I don't think he fought since COVID. So
I think, I reckon it might be longer. John Jones, last fight. Oh, Mr. G. Still 26-1. You seen him? He's yoked.
Yeah, he's massive at the moment. His first record. It should have his last fight there.
Elevator music. What are you looking up down the end there, mate?
Raul Rosas Jr.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The young fella.
The young fella made his debut.
Oh, he's 18, isn't he? Yeah. He's in high school.
Yeah, high school senior.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
That is mental.
Yeah. Won his fight.
And I was way off with Jones. 247 was his last fight.
Just before COVID, what I said.
February 8, 2020. Wow. Good memory.
And yeah, beat the who's who of that division. And that's probably speaks to where that kind of division is at the moment.
We haven't spoken about John Jones on this podcast. Like we haven't had to preview him as a fight.
Unfortunately. Really?
Maybe fortunate. All right, give us a...
Yeah, I haven't had some F1 news in a little while.
Sebastian Vettel.
He's retired, but... I only threw it in here because there was a bit of madness with shuffling of the deck chairs, essentially, in the F1 team principal / CEO world with the Williams CEO. You're going to have to help me with some names here. Joss
Capito.
He leaves Williams, steps
You're
down.
missing the main one that kicked all this off.
Well, I knew about Binotti.
Did we talk about him last?
I think we skipped over it because it wasn't huge F1 news, but yes, he was, I guess, forced into resigning. By all accounts, Ferrari were done with him. So, of course, they're looking for a replacement. So they then, of course, go to Alpha and get Frederick Vasseur. So he leaves Alpha and joins Ferrari, takes over Benetto's job that we just mentioned. And then
Andreas Seidel
leaves McLaren and joins Saab Group, which is Audi, which is Alpha, as CEO. So he doesn't take Frederick's team principal role. So they don't have a team principal yet. They're still looking for one. And then, of course, McLaren have to promote within for a guy with a very similar name.
Andrea Stella.
He becomes the team principal. What was interesting, that all happened in the space of 15 hours. So all these teams shuffling of the heads of their positions. So I think Christian Horner and Toto Wolff are the two longest tenured now. And then the Alpine team principal, who's been there 9 months, is the third longest. So it's a kind of a bit of a short stint in the high business land that is the CEOs and team principals of F1 racing teams. So, I guess the drivers had done their silly season and the heads wanted to get involved in it. They've moved around a bit. So could be a bit of a different look and a different kind of feel to F1 next year. We'll have to see how these kind of things play out in the big scheme of things.
First race of next year is in Bahrain, 5th of March. So still a fair wait until then. Do they have do they do any sort of pre-season kind of?
They do a lot of pre-season testing and getting ready, the month that leads up to that.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of busy in the factories at the moment, building cars and planning for next year.
Yep.
So hence why we haven't covered F1, I think, since it finished. But this is a big glob of news all at once that we figured we'd share with everyone.
Very good.
And then I think is the Esky, the Heat, I think are very much struggling against the Renegades. From what I was seeing, they were getting out quite regularly.
What did Madison end up with, 87 or something?
He got out just before.
I think he hit his